YouTube? Oh, I didn't put out an announcement for YouTube. Oh well. Mic looks good. Desktop audio looks good. YouTube is streaming. Let's go! Oh my gosh, I did it. I set it all up. I'll be keeping an eye on the chats pretty soon here. But for now, I'm just gonna play a quick little warm-up game. Good morning, Navilia. Navilia, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me if the stream is like laggy at all? Or are you like in your own game right now? What up, Polly? I'm playing a quick warm-up game while I wait to see what's like if just to make sure like the streams are okay and doing well. New account? I'm not sure about a new account. I've just had it for quite a while. This is just probably gonna be the account that I play like some warm-up games on, or if I'm doing any like super hardcore grinding on stream. This is the account that I'm gonna use for it. Hello, Nordkey. I'm curious to see how the YouTube feed is looking. It looks fine. Yeah, alright. Sick. I think it's set up. What up, noob? 4738. Some sort of value effort account. I figured I've wanted an account called Effort Value for so long. Because like in the Pokemon like games, like that's like the stats that like show you how much damage or HP or whatnot that you can actually like spec into your Pokemon through training them in different ways. That's why it's called EV training. And well, hey, I'm Eevee. Oh, this account's high. This account is very high. That's okay. We'll grind it up. I don't know. Did I play support on this account? No, this was only Winston, huh? I just want to warm up on my support a little bit before we get into the ranks lessons. Make sure I'm moving my character around and whatnot properly. How's y'all's day going so far? I had the best breakfast ever, bro. You ever find those like crazy deals on like the... They're like... I don't want to say like they're like kind of easy foods, but like the sort of like the like quick made meals. I found like a crazy recipe. I don't remember the brand name, but it was like these like little like sausage like breakfast sandwiches. They were fucking awesome. I'm feeling energized. Okay, yeah, I'm very glad that I'm warming up because my mouse feels weird today. I'm thinking for our actual like ranks lessons today after this, I kind of want to get some more like Lucio games in, as well as I want to see if we can get some Mizuki. I think Mizuki would be a bunch of fun. We haven't covered them in a while. And I've actually learned quite a bit more about the hero since the last time that I was able to play Mizuki in a video. So glad you're streaming on YouTube as well because you don't use Twitch. Yeah, I've been thinking that I really wanted to try and dual stream for a while now, but I just didn't know. I thought it was like not allowed by Twitch, but apparently that got changed back in like December. I'm wondering next time that I get a stream going, since I'm planning on all future streams being dual streams, I'm gonna try to see if I can get a feature or some sort of like plugin to like kind of merge the chat, since it'll sound like I'm responding to some people that like aren't in chat, but it's just like because it's streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Feels like an eternity ago when they allowed it. I just live under several rocks. I'm like Patrick Star. Oh, and Truth! Finally able to catch a stream since it's on YouTube. Awesome. I love your comments. They make me really happy. Glad you're able to catch a stream. Yeah, I thought that we were gonna just wake up the Reinhardt with our noon. Showing Twitch stream on YouTube is now allowed. What does that mean, Navilia? Thank you for the follow, GM Hero. It's not allowed? Gulp. Well, oh well. If I get smited by Zeus for today, then that'll be a learning experience. I'll figure out something else, because I do really want to like actually be streaming on YouTube. I think that I've been holding on to this nano forever. Do you think that I can win this? Oh my god! I was gonna say, I wonder if I can win this game without using nano. But I think it might have been useful there. Used to make you ineligible for partner or even affiliate. Yeah, but then it was changed. That's awesome. That's what I heard a bit ago. I just didn't realize until like the other day. I thought that it was just like, I knew a few people like years ago who just got their affiliate taken away after they tried like dual streaming. So I was just kind of nervous about that, but then I saw that it's different now. Ana's so much fun. It's just relaxing. You just sit at the back of the map and you're just healing everyone, put in some damage. I love support. If I ever like stop like super competing and grinding, I'm probably gonna play a lot more support. But I don't think that'll be the case for a bit. Not at least until I'm OWCS. Because my main goal, I want to be like a really, really good coach. But I want to be a kind of coach that's like, I want to be able to like coach people up to whatever goals that they want. And I want to be able to get up to OWCS and like to that like actual like real pro level, so that I'm able to help other people get up there, but I need to experience it myself first. As well as it's just swaggy. It's just so swaggy to be a player. It's cool as hell. Oh. Well, get in there. Frag out, Kiri. Whoa. This guy got the schmoves. Oh, W high ground. Do I find my one? Nope. Support is your main role. Feels a little more chill than DPS or tank. Yeah, definitely. It's so fun. And then it's just like the right amount of like action for me. I like sitting, I like chilling, I like being at the back of the map, healing my team. And then like a tracer will get onto me and I'll get to like fight my little 1v1 minigame for a bit. And then I'm like back to business and just like healing people up. It's just so nice. Oh, I walked in the shatter. Insanely good mindset to have. You want to be one of the best that's ever done it, but you have a much longer road ahead of me than you. Bro, if you want to be the best ever, do it. That's so cool. I love ambition, bro. I want to be like, how do I describe it? I'm like an insanely ambitious person. I've got goals. I've got plans. To the point where, like, my like end goal, what I want to be is I want to be a teacher, and I've known this since I was like 3 years old. As soon as I learned like and like could comprehend like what a teacher actually was and what those people sort of walking around my kindergarten were actually doing, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I want to be like that. So I've always wanted to be a teacher. It's like, you ever watch Wreck-It Ralph? You know that one, like the glitch, Vanellope, where she's like, I'm a racer, it's in my code. I want to be a teacher. It's in my code, bro. I was an education major in college, and I love education theory. It's so cool. It's so cool. Why are we in gold? New account. This is a really old account that I did not know did not play support before, but this is an account that I actually want to get up to champ. I want this to be like the super tryhard account that I'll be playing on stream with. This won't be the ranked lessons account, but whenever I do other things, like if I'm working on my individual like micro or like trying to fix bad habits or whatnot, I'm gonna try to use this account. So I'm gonna be probably grinding this up to champ over the next couple of games, or not next couple of games, next couple of days, maybe even off stream probably, because I just want it into a rank where I'll actually be able to work on a lot of like my micro issues or be punished for some of my micro issues. I really want to see if I can hit that Sombra. I don't think we could kill it at all, but let me out. Your ambition's kind of like mine. I'm graduating psychology right now, and you want to go into academic research and teaching? Whoa. Also, I want to take a pedagogy. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Very much like Zen, and after being given positioning tips, I have to say it's kind of fun just to be at the back as long as the enemy team doesn't flank. Trying to see which DPS would be similar in terms of positioning. I think if you like Zen, a lot of sort of hit scan based heroes are going to be kind of up your alley, especially heroes like Ashe, Widowmaker even, but Widow's going to be super mechanically intensive. I think that the most similar positioning wise to Zenyatta is going to be Ashe in the DPS role. What? Wait, she... Oh, that wakes her up? Huh. So I'd recommend trying out some Ashe. I think that'd be really good. Good effort. Value. They just blowing me up. It's kind of unlucky we have a lever. I might actually need to like sit forward a little bit here. Pedagogy is the art and science of teaching. Thought you would know. Had some. I'm really bad with terms and labels. Oh, is armor fragging? Yeah, frag out, buddy. Our Sombra's out. I think that I probably have heard the word before, but maybe not actually like seen it. But it's a really like bad habit of mine where I'll understand like an idea or a concept in math, but I couldn't like actually like put the name to it or like the term for it. Since hearing my gameplay and awareness have improved sharply since you started my— Awesome! I'm so glad to hear it. I'm glad that's been helpful. I really am excited for the next Theory Thursday. I started working on the video for it earlier today. I think that it's a topic that's going to help, I think, a lot of people with, oh, our tank is back. No! With the worst timing ever. As soon as our tank joined back, our other support left. I gotta say, your approach to teaching is very professional. Thank you, thank you. A little bit more EV lore. Since I've known that I want to be a teacher for a while, when I was in school, I was a very, very polarizing student. My teachers would either love me or they'd hate me. Because I'd never have issues actually, like, understanding, like, the, like, ideas that they were trying to teach in class or concepts. But I would be one of the students that asked the most questions. And it wasn't about the material, it would be about how they're actually teaching, because I really wanted to see and understand the differences between, like, why my teachers did things differently from each other. So some teachers took that as, like, a challenge and thought that I was just, like, egoing them. And then other teachers, like, saw, like, oh, you're interested in the actual education part of it. And then we got along really well. But it was either, I was a very polarizing student. Since I just loved hearing about why my teachers did things the way that they did. Understanding the concept is better anyway. Terms are just names, ways to name them. I feel like you do that with your teachings, not just holding on to complicated terminology. Yeah, I have a really hard time with terminology, but I think that it helps sort of get across general ideas better, since if I'm constantly switching up my terminology, and just using the words or whatever words in my brain at the moment fit best, it kind of gets across the point in various different ways, which I think helps a wider audience of people trying to understand what I'm saying. Why am I on break? This is low-key the worst pick ever here. I think it's Vaporana. I think I just figured that I would have another support, but if I can find a head frag with headshot, then we can win, but we are just down to support. That's something that I want to see Overwatch kind of like bring up, or I don't know how they would exactly fix it, but something with perks that's kind of bothered me for a while is that with perks being added to the game, there's a lot more of an RNG element into Overwatch, where there will be some times when I'm playing like a hero that has like really, really strong perks later, which will, like, I'll start on, let's say, Lijiang Control Center. Or let's say we start on, like, Lijiang Garden. So it's going to be a very, very open map, and Winston's going to be very viable there. But so if I'm able to play, like, the more open points first, then I'm able to build up my perks later, which will allow me to cover for my weaknesses for like second or like later points in the game. But if I started on like Control Center on Lijiang, then I wouldn't have the time to build up like Chain Lightning or something, which if I had Chain Lightning going into Control Center, because I played like the more open maps first to build up the perk, then I would have a lot more options for... No, I was so close. I'd have a lot more options on actually shooting out the people, sort of stabilizing in the white room. And it's just kind of bothered me for a little bit about how some heroes are less viable depending on like what control point like it's picked first, because now perks are in the game and you don't have enough time to actually build them up. And I don't know how exactly I would change it if I was Overwatch, but it's something that's bothered me. Hey V, what are your thoughts on a 6v6 competitive lesson series? If we have time today, I do have a VOD review at 4 CST or 5 EST with my team, which I do not think I will stream. Maybe I'll try to stream scrims. But if we have time after our support and our DPS lessons after that, I'll give 6v6 a try, because I've been meaning to give 6v6 a try for a while now. I just ended up a little bit busy. But I do want to try it on stream. I want to see how the game mode sort of makes me feel. And if it's going well, then I might try to incorporate it into the sort of Overwatch everyday rotation. Or I might have like its own little like occasional like sub-series, or like upload a weekly video of 6v6. But I've like never played 6v6 before. Well, I mean, I played Overwatch 1. I played a lot of Overwatch 1. But I just straight up, I don't know what the 6v6 in Overwatch 2 is like. Or I guess it's not Overwatch 2 anymore. Current 6v6. But I know it's really popular, and I hear really great things about it from a lot of friends, and I see a lot of content about it and comments asking. So I'm definitely like willing to give it a try, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try. I just need to do that first before like incorporating it into anything, because I want to make sure that like I hope it comes across in my videos. I fucking love this game. I adore Overwatch with all my heart. I mean, I've been playing it for coming up on 11 years now, kind of non-stop, and I still am just ridiculously in love with it. But I want to make sure that like whatever I do, or whatever like sort of content that I create, comes from like a place of passion. So if I don't feel like too strongly about 6v6, or I don't enjoy it that much, I might not make too much content about it, because I feel like nobody wants to watch something that like the person's not having fun doing, unless it's like a rage like sort of like gimmick channel of like you want to watch them for their crash outs, which I don't think will be me that often. But I will give 6v6 a try. I'm excited to try it, since I loved Overwatch 1. Oh, I really liked Overwatch 1. I prefer, like in the whole like 6v6 versus 5v5 debates, I haven't played current 6v6. I don't know how the heroes would sort of fit into it. I'm scared of Kiriko in 6v6. I'm trying to get that Cassidy. It's just, I'm a little bit scared because there's just hyper mobility in the game. Back in Overwatch 1 at least, there was like very few mobility options, and speed boost is going to be your main sort of mode of getting around. But now that like each hero has like a TP or some sort of dash, as well as way better survivability, I wonder what like how the actual balance would shake up based around that. Because before you would have like your really mobile heroes, but you would also have, oh I'm sorry Ram, you would have like your very like slower like big heavy hitter brawlers. The most dominant comp in Overwatch 1 was Wrecking Ball, Diva, Tracer, Echo/Ash, and Briggs and Yada. And the idea behind it was a hyper generalist comp that excelled in every sort of stage of the game. How I like to simplify the game, and if I ever get into more like sort of direct coaching, I'll bring it up in some sort of Theory Thursday. Is there are usually 3 stages to a fight. There's gonna wait, see Sensei? Damn. Rough warm-up game. How the comp excelled at like a bunch of different things. When in the poke phase, where you're not actually close quarters, you're not brawling yet, you're not actually fighting or in any sort of committal position, Your Zenyatta would be pumping in a bunch of damage. Your Ashe and Echo would do the same. Your Ball and Tracer would be like fighting for any space on the map and then sort of slowly building up a kill box. But and clearing space to walk your backline up into like really good space to the point where they could brawl a little bit later. And then you would have like your dive where you would have your like your huge burst, your dynamite would come out, your ball would slam, your tracer would blink in, your Zenyatta would discord, and then after you get like your dive off and your poke phase went through, then your Brig and Zenyatta would just sort of slowly walk up, and then your Brig would get really, really, really active and then just sort of clean up the game. But with hypermobility, I feel like that's very difficult, or that general idea is harder to implement. The reason why that was dominant in 6v6 is because you had the off tank to really enable that sort of playstyle. You had the off tank to extend your poke phase to try to force out any divers, as well as you would still have a lot of your damage dealers and then have like your huge dive potential. But with hypermobility in the game now, with heroes like Kiriko and literally just everybody has a dash. Literally, like, everyone has a dash. Who doesn't have a dash? Zenyatta, Ana. Not even BAP anymore. So I wonder if it's just more brawl focused, or we just sit on the point, basically. Alright, taking a look at chat, and then I'll get into our ranked lessons for the game. I feel like they didn't plan out that the game would ever come back to 6v6 and many of the heroes get shoehorned into the mode while not being fundamentally compatible. Yeah, I feel that too. Got to a point with mobility that a lot of people are asking for Blizzard to give mobility to Ana and Zen. Yeah. Though I do think Ana and Zen, I love where Ana's at. Ana, I think, is a really, really well-balanced hero. A lot of utility, good support and healing numbers, but her glaring issue of just lack of mobility, very glass cannon roll. But even fighting the Ana and using your mobility to get onto the Ana can be really scary, because if they hit a sleep dart or a nade onto you, it's still a very, very favorable matchup for Ana sometimes. Though they can't do as much in terms of like raw space control and whatnot as like a Kiriko could. I think Ana's in a really good spot right now. Zen maybe needs a little bit more HP perhaps. Though Zenyatta is a very scary hero to balance, because if you fuck up the numbers like at all, then they just become one of the most overpowered things in the game. Because fundamentally, Discord Orb taking 30% off of any target's HP is ridiculously strong. Fundamentally, Discord Orb is one of the best abilities in the game, especially when it comes to these sort of like juggernaut tanks being in the game, where you're going to have these insanely high HP pools. Discord Orb taking out 30% of that instantly, as well as helping a lot of heroes actually do anything against armor, is insane. So if you give Zen a few too many numbers, or if you buff Zen a little bit too much, then tanks become kind of unplayable. Am I doing DPS or support first? I'm doing support first. Can't lie, I've never seen me tilt. You try not to tilt, you think, what would Eevee do? I get tilted sometimes. I've gotten a lot better about it over the past like year or so, where it doesn't happen that often. And as well as when it does, I usually just get up and like go watch a show or something. Because if I'm not, it's like that one like Sega commercial. If it's not fun, why bother? Of course, that's a little bit different for me. Sometimes, because I'm a competitor, I'm trying to make OWCS. So sometimes the grind has to go on. Sometimes you gotta power through it. But most people, for 99% of the player base, and the ones who don't really want to go pro, if you're not having fun, just stand up and leave. It's like what I used to do whenever I was like turbo grinding for the first time. I would queue until I started to feel like anytime I had like 3 thoughts in the game pop up of like, trying to blame my teammates for something is when I would just stand up and like go outside for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'd come back and my win rates would remain so much higher. Because as soon as like you stop like focusing on yourself and your improvement and your solo queuing ranked, is going to be when your improvement stops, your like you just get into like worse and worse headspace because you're convincing yourself that things are outside of your control, which sometimes things are like games are going to be outside of your control, but you just have to accept that and be like, all right, go next. But as long as you're focusing on doing whatever you can do, that's going to be like the most beneficial mindset to have in ranked. And it's really hard to maintain. It's really hard to keep. So just making sure that you're taking regular breaks to ensure that your time is productive and fun is going to be, I think, what's really, really, really important. For 90% of the player base, I highly recommend treating ranked games as a best of 3 tournament mentality, where if you lose any 2 in the last 3 games, you just stop and get up and do something else. Yes, I super agree. I think that the rule of, oh, that's kind of fun. All of our all of our roles are just one rank apart. I think the rule of like you lose 2 in a row and get off is amazing. That's what I did when I was first climbing back in like 2017 or so. I was like, oh my god, I was like 12, 13, and I was trying to get up to like Masters for the first time, just one tricking Lucio and Diamond, and I fully just put like my games in like quality over quantity. I did not grind at all. I did not turbo play the game. What I would do is I'd wake up, I'd be like, all right, no distractions. I'm not in a Discord call. I'm not trying to talk with any friends or whatnot. I'm just sitting down and I'm going to play the game the best I can. And then as soon as I would like lose like one game, I would just queue until I lost. I even did just like one game. And it would end up being like I'd go like 3-1, and then I'd go like 3-1, and I'd go 2-1. But eventually that got me through Diamond and up to Masters for the first time. And it was freaking awesome. And I was playing well, and I was learning each time because I was fully focused on each game, each individual game I was actually putting my all into. And I came out with so much like knowledge per game, and I came out feeling just better and winning more. I was 12-13 in 2017. My fault, bro. My fault. I'm 21 now. I'm turning 22 in a few months. Oh, next month. God damn. Bro, just start planning my funeral. I'm too old. I'm kidding. I know, I'm very young. I mean, I've been playing this game for almost half my life now. That thought came in my mind the other day of I've been playing Overwatch for half my life, which is just crazy. Yeah. Etsy is really refreshing for this community because no hate. I can't stand watching someone scream and cry at their screen when they lose a match or a fight. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Oh, Astrid! Sorry, that's the mod. That's a friend of mine. Yeah, I never watched that much Overwatch content because I just didn't really enjoy how negative everything was. And one thing that kind of pissed me off, I don't mind if you feel a certain way, that's fine to express it. That's perfectly fine if you're feeling upset at the game to say that you're upset. What I do mind is that this is my personal take, my personal philosophy. If you're going to be negative all the time about a game, I feel like you have an obligation to try to make it funny. I feel like you have to be entertaining somewhat. To actually like pull off like a negative stick. Like I enjoy watching Luca clips from Overwatch. I thought Luca was kind of funny. I didn't like playing with them, but I thought they were really funny. Very negative, but very funny. Okay. Locking into this game a little bit here on Route 66, we have a Winston, Vendetta. There's going to be a lot of things that can be pretty good here. Ana is going to be kind of a shoe-in for maps like Route 66. Due to the longer range and the high grounds that you're able to play around, it will enable us to be a lot safer from flankers and have a lot more time to react, forcing them to walk through some open space to give us time to react and plan how we're going to take the fight against them. So heroes that are going to be a little bit squishier and like to favor range a bit more are going to be better on maps like these. And with our Winston as well, I think that might be a pretty good thing to play for. Other heroes that might be pretty good here, Zenyatta could be viable, Kiriko's always good, Illari, Wu Yang, but I think I'm going to try to be leaning into this Ana here. See if they have an Ashe. So I'm thinking that I just want to be playing on this low ground. While high ground is going to be nice to take a little bit later, I don't think that I necessarily want to be rushing towards it. Since playing on this low ground will allow me to look for some nades, and as soon as the stamina shield goes down, I might be looking for a nade on corner. Finding onto the Domina, but a little bit out of sync with our team, which is going to be okay. Our Detta goes in, so we want to be putting ourselves in a position to actually just sort of like carry it. With the Domina especially, she's going to be a very sort of cooldown dependent hero. So every time that her shield is off cooldown and ready to sort of zone us out, we want to be playing a little bit safer. Since once her shield goes up, it's going to be hard for us to do anything. But as soon as that shield is down, which is about now, we can be getting super active, and now we can see since our Domina's shield went down, we're going to be able to use both of our abilities to just immediately blow her up and win this first sort of chokehold. With their Cassie, I hear their Cassie on right, and it's going to be really important to sort of like enable our team to clean that up, since that could be a very big issue later. I have my Nano Boost coming up pretty soon here, as well as I just got my perk, which will enable my Nano Boost a little bit further. Domina Shield comes out, but because there is a little gap between the panels, I'm able to slip a nade in there, and we will be finding that kill. Rez comes out onto Domina, but I don't think that they're going to be able to touch. Lifeweaver looks for an early or a late contest, and we can take them down. So now I just want to be playing aggressive. They don't have one of their healers, so I want to be putting myself in a spot that would actually enable my team to be aggressive how they want to. But unfortunately, since their Dominant Shield is up and their Ashe is peeking the spot that we would need to rotate, I'm not able to enable my Detta to sort of fight up there. But we have our Nano pretty soon, so I'm not too concerned. Probably next Winston jump is when I'll want to be ready to Nano. I get dynamited, so I'm just going to be chilling. Our Winston goes in. I want to be swinging when I'm safe to do so. And even with our Winston going low, it's fine to not force any sort of like early walk. Since their cast is on that right side, it's better for us to sort of keep ourselves alive and chill until we have the opportunity to actually like heal people later. Since if we try to force things a bit too much on this roll, it's going to make it way harder for us to actually like get our value or get the most value we can over time. We like staying alive, and especially just on supports and flex supports especially, just staying alive is going to generally increase the value that you can be getting in most of your games. It looks like their Cassie pulled their Noon. Our Winston goes in. They do have their Primal Rage, so I'm just going to be looking to zone out their Domina, and we are able to find that kill with their Ashe on right side, and I hear their Cassie walking up. Really wanted to try to heal my Ashe there, but unfortunately I'll be a little bit late to do so, but we are still able to win that fight through an amazing dive with our Winston. Our Emre and our Ashe are coming back, so it's just going to be a support and our tank right now. I want to be trying to farm my Nano and my Headshot perk the best that I can, since if I'm able to get into a decent spot here with this Headshot perk, it would be really nice for us. Bob comes out early for their team, which is going to be amazing for us. It'll mean that we don't have to deal with that a little bit later, as well as Valkyrie getting used. And we are able to get our Headshot perk. Now we are a lethal threat anywhere that we actually want to stand, or we can be a lethal threat if we hit our shots, though I'm not sure. It looks like we are able to find the pick onto the Mercy though, just sort of through mechanics, but it'll just make us a lot more present on the map. Because I'm not able to heal in there, I'm going to be looking for Nano on my Winston just to sort of enable that fight inside of that Mizuki ult, since that's going to be the only real support I'm able to give them, as both of my abilities are going to be eaten up by the Mizuki ult, as well as all of like the potential healing and shots I'd want to be putting into them. So unfortunately, you'll be losing that fight. Very a-okay. We're coming 50% onto our Nano. We are going to have our Primal Rage as well as our Bob soon. They have their Domino ult. I think it's just their Domino ult. They're pretty close to their High Noon, but it's going to be probably a little bit late, just a bit. I don't really want to drop. Because my Sojourn's on this right side, I'm going to let my Juno heal up our Ashe on that bottom left. And I'm just going to be making sure that our Sojourn is able and ready to sort of play the game. As our Winston goes in, I'm going to chuck a nade to try to enable their Primal. And we are able to assist with the kill onto the Mizuki. With our Winston falling 1 HP, we want to just be healing that up, not only just to heal the our tank so we can extend the fight further, but we also want to build up our Nano boost. Now, thinking about this next fight here, I'm actually going to be taking this left side. Maybe. Actually, no. I'm going to be playing bridge just to make sure that I'm able to keep some support onto my Ashe. Ideally, that top left area over there, though, would be an amazing position for us to actually see everyone that we would need to see. And I think that I'm going to be nanoing our Winston in here. Our Bob goes in very shortly after, so I'm throwing a nade trying to support my Winston. Dominus Shield comes out, so I just want to chill. We don't need to necessarily force anything right now. We're in a winning position. Our tank is in a good spot and healthy. We have a Bob looking at the cart, and the cart is going to be able to use all of those resources to just slowly roll into the checkpoint. And we're going to be in a very, very good spot going into third point. Since nobody's on the cart, I'm just going to back up and grab it myself. No glory in losing the game. Even if we win every fight, but we're not pushing the cart, it means that we're just going to lose the game. So, thinking about this next fight, we do have our Ray. They're going to be having their Bob fairly soon, which is something that we might need to care. Unfortunately, I was not able to care my Ashe there, but as our Winston gets low, we can just pop our nade onto them and then back up slowly as their Zarya walks forward. With their Zarya, it's going to make our CD usage a little bit harder, and we might be using our CDs a bit more defensively, since it will be less consistent to actually have a reliable anti-nade on the people, since it'll be able to be cleansed with Bubble. With our Ray coming out, it's time for us to swing. They're going to be matching with their Mizuki ult and their High Noon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to help by sleeping the High Noon at all. But Chain comes out onto me, and I will be going down very quickly. I wanted to try to take that left side to see if we would be enabling our team to step further later in the fight, but as we backed up main, it would have been better for me to just posture towards main instead of taking that a little bit more aggressive position. I just didn't think that we would end up being so passive, but that's my fault for not sort of checking our position as the ults were traded and the fight was going on. But thinking about this next fight here, we have our Nano boost, we have our Primal Rage. I think that maybe Nano onto our Soldier, if we get Visor, could be pretty good. Especially since our Soldier is going to be the one on the point. I want to make sure that nobody is actually able to force our Soldier off the point. Looking for a nade onto our Winston's hit. Our Juno goes low HP. Our Soldier is still fighting on the cart. And maybe we don't even need it. And we will be full capping this Route 66 point. Awesome. I think overall pretty good round. We maybe could have won second point a little bit easier if I took that left side anyways and just sort of hoped that my Ashe walked up into the my LOS later in the fight. But I think that playing it safe and making sure that I was able to keep everyone who I needed to keep in my LOS could be good. Just going for that left side play would have been a lot more aggressive, and there would have been a higher chance that I would need to fight like a sort of 1v1, which I would be comfortable with, especially once I had my headshot perk online. There's a very high chance of that I could probably win that, but I think that playing main and just making sure that everybody's alive would definitely be a fine way to play as well. Third point, I just need to make sure that I'm keeping my teammates' positioning in mind, and then I'd be able to posture properly for that mid fight instead of going for that aggressive rotate top left. If I was paying more attention to my team, then it probably would have enabled us to actually live longer. Taking a quick look at chat here. How do you determine when it's good to ADS as Ana? I feel like I don't grasp that concept really well. Main thing that I usually think about when in terms of ADSing, when I'm not being pressured, when I am when I don't need to have good movement. So if there's nobody really looking at me, and there's no like sort of threat of a bullet like or like flying towards my skull, is when I want to be leaning towards ADS, or if I don't need to move anywhere quickly. But as soon as I need to be moving somewhere quickly, or I need to be harder to hit, is going to be when I want to lean away from my ADSs. Since the movement penalty while you're ADS is going to make it really, really difficult to actually like dodge any shots or throw off people's crosshairs or position, or just general like aim. But since like there's nobody looking at me right now, just ADSing is going to make it really, really consistent to just like heal who I need to heal and hit all of the shots that I need to hit. Since not only does ADSing like decrease your FOV, which will make the targets you're looking at just bigger straight up on your screen, but also your healing bullets are larger when you're healing on Ana while you're ADS. Basically, as long as somebody's like in your little triangle, like the little triangle around your crosshair, it's going to be a pretty reliable healing shot. While when you're not ADS, when you're actually just trying to like unscoped and just like shoot your gun without looking through your scope, it's going to just be one straight projectile that's a lot harder to hit and just generally slower. Wondering if my Winston wants nano here. I'm going to be postured for it. I'm just going to lean back a little bit now as I see their team sort of walking up. I'm a little bit nervous about an early nano here, and I'd prefer to use it a bit more reactively. But we find a nice nade onto their Cassidy as we're expecting their backline to walk up. And now that we see their Zarya on the left side, their Cassidy on that bottom Rama, look for a cheeky sleep onto the Cassidy since there's no real dive targets that are able to threaten us right now. So I can be using my sleep pretty freely. Now we have to be retaking some space. I think that I am going to nano my Winston here, as the Cassie is looking at them, as well as the Zarya was about to turn and peel. Unfortunately, I back up a little bit too far there. I definitely could have played closer on the central high ground, and it would have enabled me to keep my Sojourn alive, as well as heal up my Winston a little bit earlier. But I just backed up to try and make sure that I could keep my overclocking Sojourn in my line of sight so I could react properly to what they do, but I ended up backing up a bit too far, I think. My Winston goes fairly low. They do have their Primal Rage though, but unfortunately we will be going down before we're able to really find any huge frags. Zarya slowly cleaning up our Ashe. Zenyatta falling very low HP, but we'll be getting healed up by their Pylon, and we will be taking a step back on this fight. Our Winston remains inside their team, so we're going to try to get to this left side as soon as we can to carry them. Unfortunately, we'll be going down. I'm wondering if it's going to be worth it to touch. I think it might be, especially since they don't have... Oh, no, never mind. It's no longer worth it. Since they don't have that much actual raw healing, there was going to be a fairly high chance that if we hit like a good nade, or if we hit a like a good like combo onto their squishy, we could turn the fight into our favor very quickly just due to their team composition. but unfortunately our Hanzo would go down before we got the chance to do so. So we're just going to play on second point, very a-okay. Thinking about this next fight, we almost have our nano boost and we just got our headshot perk, which will enable us quite a bit. Our Hanzo falls low HP and our Winston goes in. I need to be carrying my Winston a bit here. It's just going to be kind of difficult with how their hit scans are positioned. As their Zarya walks up, I really need to be backing up a bit more. Our Hanzo goes down and Alara uses their ult. Unfortunately, I was not able to get into LOS for my Winston. If we had our overclock there, I probably would have nanoed. Oh, just barely wasn't able to live. Definitely a-okay. Going into this next fight here, if we're able to get a good recontest here, I might just be able to nano my Sojourn with a nano overclock, which is usually going to be a very, very strong combination. Or I can nano my Winston to try and sit on the point a little bit longer. As we need to walk out here, I'm going to be nanoing my Sojourn, sleeping the Bob, and then trying to kill this Ilaria if I can, but unfortunately I will not be able to really get a huge play off, but we are able to find a nice shot onto their Ilaria to take them out, and we will no longer have an enemy contesting the point, which will enable us to do a lot more. I'm going to be leaning towards the point though, just in case one of them wants to be looking for a C9. That would be really, really bad for us. Low-key end of the world. So I'm making sure that that won't be the case, but our positioning is going to be a lot harder because of that. As I hear the Zarya walking up that left side, I'm going to the right since I want the maximum amount of distance, so I can stay outside of the Zarya's effective range. A huge jump will let our Winston dodge that Graviton Surge. Cassie will walk up onto us, but we are able to find a nice headshot and nade to win that 1v1 really quickly. Zenyatta goes 1 HP from our Primal Rage. We're able to find some frags or some taps onto their Zarya. I'm nanoing our Winston to actually clean them up. Ashe is going to be the last hero to touch, and we will be winning this game. I think definitely a very solid game. We were able to support our team the best that we could. I think that my nade usage could have been a little bit better, and I could have been using nades less offensively and more so to keep my team alive. But I think that we did a good enough job with our healing. 16,000 healing in 15 minutes will be above 10,000 per 10. But we are also able to find quite a bit of damage, especially once we got our headshot perks online. We found a lot of value through that. It feels like a pretty good mechanical day for me. So maybe we'll be able to lean into that a little bit more. But that will be a very good start to our session today for support. Good work, Astrid. Thank you for the follow, Tread and Withlane. I don't know how YouTube follows work, or if I can like see them at all. So I'm sorry. I'll figure it out next stream, gang. I don't know how YouTube kind of works. Thank you for the follow, King of Games. I think that was a pretty good game, though. Definitely a good one to start on. I think he'd be really good at reviewing replays to help people. I think very insightful. Replays are looking over your own gameplay or getting coaching of like your own replay codes is definitely going to be one of the most important ways to improve. I think that there are some people that have a misunderstanding about it though, and like how they can be effective. While my personal belief is that replay codes and sort of VOD reviewing is not to sort of go through every sort of little scenario and tiny little minute detail. While it can be helpful to some and its value to sort of look through those things, I think the most important aspects of gameplay are generally going to be just like your habits as a player. Your execution habits as a player are going to be what you want to be fixing. So generally my VOD reviews when I do coaching for people, they're like 30 minutes long. I don't like having very, very long VOD reviews because I genuinely think that they aren't that important, and it's better to just keep it condensed and simplified so that people are able to find like the few things that they need to work on, and then go queue the ranked, fix the issues that they're having, and then come back later. I think that having like a super duper long sessions of like looking to replay codes are generally going to be more unproductive than they are productive, because you're able to see like habits and traits in a player in like 1 to 2 games. You don't need like an insane sample size, because you will be making very similar decisions based off of your mindset and your approach to the game, and that's what you want to be fixing as a player. So I can see like 1 to 2 maps that a player plays. I can see a consistent issue that's happening. I say, okay, work on these things, and this is what I recommend to work on these things, or this is like the sort of ideas or the mindsets, or like the practice codes that I think would help with these specific issues. And then they go do that, and then they come back, and usually it's a lot better. But VOD reviewing is one of the best tools possible if you want to be improving at this game. Yes, I agree on truths. I think that said that I think people overvalue the effects of VOD reviewing, more so to note your own weaknesses, to know what to polish, than to learn everything. Yes, I agree. Twitch chat. I'm just so impressed by the knowledge. It makes me feel like you can do it too. You can do it too. While I have been playing this game for a very long time, a lot of my sort of experience has just been completely like self-taught. I have had coaching in the past, and I have coaches now, but basically everything is a lot of like my current mindset is just completely shaped from my own experiences and gameplay and understanding of the games. While I have heard a lot of different opinions and takes on how to approach games, it's important, even if like I say something, please disagree. Like if it doesn't feel right to you, or if you're trying to apply a concept that I talk about in these videos or anything, and it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel productive, or it doesn't make sense to you as a player, don't do it. That is definitely a-okay, because I think one of the most important aspects, especially as you get through higher ranks, or get into higher ranks, is your decision making needs to be fast. You need to play to what you know, like the best that you can. And a lot of the time, I think that people trying to implement like others' ideas and sort of understandings of the games, while it can be good to test things out and feel out ideas or concepts, it's good to try things. But when you're trying to super win, you need to play to your own understanding. You need to do what feels right to you. And then if it fails, if whatever feels right to you fails, that's when you go into a VOD and go, okay, why are things going wrong? What's wrong with my understanding or my execution that's making me lose games? So like overall, any educational YouTuber or whatnot in this game, even if they found success using their own methods, it's really important for the individual to know what works for them. What is my honor relative aim sense? My honor relative aim sense is just whatever the default is. I don't change scope senses much. Though I do want to try it. I like the 1-to-1 for Widow when I tried it before. My other support didn't pick. I'm going to be leaning to Wu Yang here. The idea behind the Wu Yang is because we're going to have an Onron, I should be able to give our Onron a sort of healing orb, as well as I'll be able to pump in a lot of damage, which will enable our Zarya, hopefully, but me and our other support are late, so our Zarya is going to have to give some space early. So I'm just going to be trying to spam out the best that I can. With their Reinhardt on main, I'm going to try to take down that low HP target as our Zarya gets pretty low. Bastion's Bastion's very low in our space as well. I just want to be spamming out whoever I can. Our Onron's going to be finding the kill onto the Widowmaker. Our Kiriko's going to go fairly low. So now it's just going to be back to spamming. With their Widowmaker down, it means that I'm free to position kind of wherever I want. So I'm going to be taking this high ground, as it's going to give me very good sight lines onto the spaces that I would want if the enemy team were to walk out, as well as if their Widowmaker would come back. It would allow me to be able to chuck orbs at her from around the corner. rather than actually having to fight it head on, which is what the Widowmaker would want. And so this position would utilize my kit a lot more by being able to do this. Since making sure that you're playing towards your effective range and your sort of effective sight lines as heroes is going to be really, really important. If you want to be closer range, then you want to be playing like sort of in those closed spaces, those enclosed rooms, to enable your kit the best that you can. And as Wu Ying, because I don't necessarily need to be full peeking them, I can just be sitting up there. Their Widowmaker literally couldn't do anything to me, but I was able to sort of like chuck my orbs into them as much as I wanted. And we will be taking down that Widow. Bastional coming out, so I want to be making... Oh! That, I did not realize that I was caught on that little corner wall. Alariel's going to whiff onto us, trying to hit us, but we are able to back up far enough. I'm going to be waving to make sure that my Kiriko is living here, and as their Widowmaker pops their sights, it's going to make it kind of hard for us. I'm going to be popping bubble on myself just because I'm low HP. And trying to get pressure onto their backline, but unfortunately I'm going to be a little bit slow in popping my shift, but we are still able to find the kill onto the Winston and the Mizuki. Main thing that I really want to just be considering is sort of where their Widowmaker is, where their Winston is, and trying to find my position that neither of them are a huge threat to me, so that I'm able to pump in as much damage as I can, I'm able to pump in as much healing as I can, and just making sure that I'm utilizing my kit to the best of my abilities. Since their Widowmaker is down, it allows me to peek a lot more into the open, which will increase my shot hit rate, because now I can actually see who I'm shooting at. But I would want to just like not peek. I would want to just throw my orbs around the corner for the most part, if their Widowmaker was still alive, because that would be a very favorable thing for them to be able to sort of see like a lock eyes long range fight. As our Zarya goes low, I'm going to be chucking a wave towards them and then just sort of spamming out this bubble the best that I can. I'm playing around this fire truck to make it so their Widowmaker is not able to see me. So I'm going to continue spamming out their team as much as possible. Their Widowmaker does go down, I see in the kill feed. So that means that I can position a little bit more freely. And I'm able to walk towards this main area, as there's not going to be a huge threat over here. Widowmaker is coming back fairly soon though, so I need to be careful about that. And their Genji is going to be able to catch us out, so I think that the better play for me in that last fight would have been to posture and position towards the stairs rather than the mini room, which would have forced the Widowmaker to swing a lot further into our team's space to find any LOS on me, as well as I would have been safer from the Genji and had better sight lines on the point. I think me going into that little mini room there was a mistake. But the general idea of the open space on the map being free, since their Widowmaker and their Genji were dead, and I wanted to posture away from the point to make sure that I'm safer, I think is a good idea to play for. I just executed it wrong by going to the wrong spot. Thank you for the bit. I love Wu Ying. Wu Ying's really fun. I think Wu Ying's one of the most fun supports for me. Thinking about our support, or thinking about our attack here. Wu Ying definitely could be another good support to play, especially with this sort of double hit scan comp, where our Emre wants to be playing at these longer ranges and playing a lot more for their big poke value, as well as our Hanzo is going to do their same, and our Zarya is going to be able to enable that a lot in the early fight by playing to sort of slowly build up charge and poke to build up their lethality. And then once our Zarya has like high charge and they're able to sort of like fight closer ranges with that high charge, then they're going to be able to walk up. But until then, we can sort of be enabling our Zarya by poking them out a lot. But since they're speccing into the Sigma and the Bastion, it's going to mean that it's a little bit harder for us to get some of our poke in, as their Sig Shield is going to be a fairly big deterrent and is able to sort of eat up a lot of our damage. So us as Wu Ying need to be thinking it's really important if we can break the Sigma shield and enable our DPS players. Oh, they jumped over my wave. Enable our DPS players to shoot the actual targets that they want to shoot more rather than the shield. It can be very, very good for our team. So don't be afraid to shoot the shield, as it's going to be enabling your team quite a bit over the long run. I'm going to be using my shift here to get into a slightly better position. As our Bastion uses form, I just want to be careful of this Genji since I'm low HP. I'm not able to get my supportive orb onto our Vendetta, unfortunately, but as our team is fighting main, it's going to be really hard for us to keep people up, so I'm going to be looking for an off angle here, just trying to poke out whoever I can. As their Genji walks in, that might be something to try to do. I could try to bait somebody in and self bubble myself. If their Genji dashes onto me, that might be something to consider. But I will Ajax, unfortunately. Damn. I think that's the first Ajax on the series. I think that the idea could have been good if I executed a little bit better, and if I saved my wave to keep my HP a bit higher, or if I played slower, it could have been a good idea. We are able to find the kill onto the Genji, who overextended a bit onto us. The Illari is walking up as well as their Wu Ying, with their Sigma shield going down. I think that I am going to swap shortly after. We do have our Kitsune Rush, which is going to enable us to actually brawl a lot more onto their team. But with their Bastion form, that's going to be something really, really important to consider, since even with a Kitsune Rush, it can be very scary very, very quickly due to the Bastion form just doing so much damage. It's going to make it very difficult for us to walk. But our team plays it phenomenally and chills while we wait out the Bastion form. Grav coming out very shortly after. So I'm going to be throwing my orbs below their Sigma hands to make sure that I'm able to get the splash damage onto the Grav. And we will be winning this game. Ending 11-2, 5,000 damage and 5,000 healing. Very balanced, as all things should be. I think that will be a fairly good game. Our team struggled a little bit on attack there, and I think that maybe swapping to a different hero could have been very fine, but I think that maybe since they had so much frontline pressure, instead of trying to win through their front line, I could have been taking angles a little bit earlier, like that left side play. It would have baited their Genji off of our team, as well as potentially I would have been able to poke out their Bastion before we would kind of like fall over and blow up to it. But I think overall, pretty good game. Got our Wu Ying game in as well. Taking a look at chat now. My question, always wondering, is shield break more important than players think? In gold plat, no one attempts to break shields. Well, you saw it right there. Shield breaking can be a very, very good thing to sort of look for. Making sure that your team is actually able to get the value that they need to, and not so much not so much pumping damage just into the enemy's shields can be very, very important. So if you're able to break the shield to enable yourself to find more value later, it can be really, really strong. Though sometimes the shield will be a little bit too much for you to break, and it's just better to sort of like wait it out or try to fight somewhere else. Yes, I can see YouTube chat. Let me see. The hell, you just answered my question without reading. I actually did read your question before going into that next or before going into that that round. So the thought was in my head and it just happened to sort of like align perfectly. Only reason I don't use wing ult on myself is because the windup is so long. Yeah, it takes so long. The startup time is just insane. Taking taking a look a little bit more at chat. Honestly, watching you solo queue gives us people without friends who play this game hope, although it's really hard to stop blaming teammates, even if you could improve it. Yeah, I love solo queue. Solo queue is my personal favorite. And I do queue with friends a good bit, but mainly how it goes for me is I'll be in like a Discord VC just queuing, and if my friends want to queue, then we can queue up. If they don't want to, then I'm still just solo queuing. I like playing the game, and I would have the option open to play with people, but I sort of keep a solo queue mentality throughout my entire like queue sessions. Either with if I'm in a group or if I'm not in a group, I sort of maintain the same mentality. And it's just all me. It's just all like whatever I can do in a game. All right, locking into our next game a little bit here. We have a Doomfist Echo and a Vendetta. Very interesting combination of heroes. Maybe a Kiriko is very strong. We do already have a Kiriko as well, so heroes like a Lucio might not be bad. Brigitte would be pretty solid. Mizuki would be pretty good, I think. But they went Alari. Is this enough healing? Okay, now that we're on Kiri, I think that would definitely be enough healing. Let me familiarize myself with the kit a little bit here, since in previous videos I've struggled with the controls of Mizuki somewhat. I think that I understand the concept fairly well, but sometimes I'm still trying to like pack my teammates with my E and not hitting my shift. Because there are a lot of times I want to just get the initial dash of my shift and then I hit shift again to return it, or I hit shift to try to cancel it, but it ends up just like taking me back to wherever I was. They have a Roadhog and a Kiriko. Unfortunately, I cannot see my Doomfist yet, but I am going to be looking for a chain. Not finding it onto the Juno yet. But we are able to keep our Kiriko alive. I can step up and look for a chain here, just making sure that I'm careful of their hook. Chain finding onto the Roadhog, but as they find the hook onto my Onion, we are going to be on the back foot for this fight. So, with that Reaper on high ground, I want to see if I can get any chains inside of my team's LOS. So we find a chain onto the Roadhog again, but unfortunately we're not going to have that much follow-up. So we just want to be back in here, making sure we're really careful of this Roadhog hook coming on this right side. And just spamming out as much as we possibly can. As our Doomfist is looking to get active here, I want to be looking for an early chain and then a TP back to try to take some pressure off of my Doomfist. But unfortunately, we will go down in the process, getting hit a few too many times by their Cassidy. And potentially a swap's in order, but I think that Mizuki can work here. Especially against their Reaper. If their Reaper ever TPs in, we're going to be able to have that sort of chain to sort of shut them down fairly well. With Juno and Roadhog on that high ground, I'm just going to throw my chain onto the Roadhog. Probably not the best chain. I could have saved it for a squishy. Throwing my hats onto our Doomfist to try to keep them alive. Chain onto the Juno, which will enable us to maybe find a kill later, but as they pop their Kitsune Rush, it's going to mean that we just need to be backing up. Our Doomfist on that right side, but he's going to find that kill onto the Kiriko. He can trade in the process. I'm going to do a little bit of parkour to try to get to... I'm stuck. Okay. I think that maybe I'll go for an aggressive play and then swap here. Oh. Wait, this could actually help quite a bit. I'll stick Mizuki for a little bit longer, and if this is going wrong, then I might be swapping to a Lucio, perhaps. Lucio will enable us to play a bit more through our lanes and enable our Echo a bit more. Missing my chain, unfortunately, but as their Roadhog is backing up. I think that I'm going to be matching their Ray with my Mizuki ult to make sure that they're not able to pump in any healing through into their Ray, and they would be forced to walk into my effective range as well as my teammates, with our Doomfist and our Echo just being very, very safe and chill in there. So now thinking about this next fight, we don't have too many ultimates on the board yet. We're coming close on our Doomfist ult, which is something to take note of and make sure that I am not like turbo inting for our Doomfist, but they are not going to get their ult in time, unfortunately. But we trade out the Reaper. Roadhog very low on this left side, but I'm not hitting the shots that I really need to onto him. Finding a kill, or finding damage onto their Cassidy, but not quite able to get the kill. It's going to feel very, very rough for us, and I think that it's maybe time to swap. I'm not finding the value that I really need to out of the Mizuki here, though they are down someone. I think that I really think it can work. I really think it can work. I just need to be finding better chains onto their Kiriko and their Cast and Reaper. I just need to not be baited by their Roadhog. Our Doomfist goes in here. And with Roadhog sort of walking, I wanted to see if I could chain them just to enable my Doomfist, and since it would be a while before we could actually get into effective range for their backline. The Reaper's still inside of our space, something very, very important to know as they walk forward a bit more. I think that my team is going to have that covered though, so I'm just going to continue pushing the cart and try to extend this push. If we're able to get the checkpoint, it's going to put us in a really, really good spot due to the respawn timers. I think I will be playing low ground here instead of high ground, especially since our soldiers on that left side. I want to be in range to care them, as well as I want to see if I can chain anyone who wants to maybe touch the cart. We are going to be able to get the checkpoint, which is going to be pretty good for us. Our Cassie goes down fairly early, but our Doomfist is going to react to the Whole Hog with their own ult, and we have our Mizuki coming up fairly soon here. I just want to continue to be pushing the cart best I can. Reaper has no fade. I think fairly important to note. Our Kiriko is going to take that hook for us, and I don't have any healing left or any hats left to sort of keep them alive, but we are going to be able to get a ton of damage by poking out that sort of corner and letting our M1s bounce. I don't know what they're actually called. But I think that we're going to be taking this next area with our Mizuki ult, cutting off the healing from their supports and forcing them to play into the closer range, but they're going to match with their Kitsune Rush and their Death Blossom, which will make it so that our team will mostly go down. It's just our Doomfist left finding the kill onto the Reaper. 1v1 against the Cassidy. If we're able to find the lead here, it would be amazing, but I think that it will be rather difficult for our Doomfist to do so, and they will be going down shortly afterwards. I did it again. I recall when I meant to cancel. Now a little bit worried about getting early hooked by their Roadhogs, so our team really needs to be staying alive here. Waiting for our Doomfist to come back into the fight. Our Doomfist now is returning, and their Roadhog is on that right side. I want to make sure that I'm not getting hooked. Let my Doomfist sort of take the aggro for me, and now I can be looking to get aggro myself. Going in with my shift, and then Kitsune Rush comes out for our team, which will enable us to continue and stay in despite us already using our shift to get into that position. I think that the Reaper is still lurking somewhere within our space, so I'm going to just keep an eye out and making sure that I'm ready to chain. Reaper is out now, and I think that we will be taking this lead. Thinking about this next sort of fight, now that we have the lead, we're a lot less pressure to go for any sort of like big plays. Our Doomfist finds an amazing kill onto the Kiriko, putting us up 2 in this fight. Roadhog is just chilling on that right side, so we just want to continue to be spamming them out the best that we can. now that our Kiriko and Doomfist are sitting on the cart, I just want to be chilling. Roadhog might be pathing behind us, but that will not be the case. They are finding the hook onto our Cassidy, which will be putting us in a kind of rough spot. As their Roadhog continues to walk forwards, I'm just going to be chilling the best that I can. Our teammates are falling low on that left side, and I think that I'm going to be flipping inwards now that we have the chance to do so. No! Trying to throw a hat back at my teammate, even though they're all full HP, because when the hat returns to us, it does heal us as well. So using it as a sort of self-sustain device would be what I was going for there. But unfortunately, I was not able to get my second hat off, and their team was pushing up a little bit too fast for me to handle. But we will be holding this point anyways. Really unfortunate that they had a lever fairly early. I think that they were doing quite well as a team. But these things happen. Sometimes they're going to have the levers, sometimes we're going to have the levers. I'm going to be using this to try and enable my Roadhog to stabilize, because the enemy team was using their whole hog to try and... Was that cleanse me? I don't know. As they were using their whole hog, Mizuki ult is going to be a fairly good counter to whole hog, especially because it's just going to eat all of the damage. There's no limit on how much damage it actually can absorb. So putting your Mizuki ult down for the enemy team's whole hog is going to be a very, very strong ultimate counter for these sort of matchups. But we will be winning this game. Kind of an unfortunate one for the enemy team. Having that lever early as they were playing well and sort of at a big advantage. But these things happen. Sometimes it's going to be us on the other end. But a win's a win. That will be putting us at Diamond 1, 94%, just barely off of Masters, unfortunately. But hopefully we're going to be able to find it in this next game. Taking a look at chat here. Hey, I came from your YouTube videos. They've been quite educational and helpful in my rank journey. Love how patient and non-tilt you are. Awesome. I'm glad that they've been helpful. I try my best not to tilt. I think most of the time, if I ever get tilted, it's just at myself. Like, I'm very, like, individual or improvement focused. So if I'm performing below my expectations, I get tilted at myself. I think that's the main, like, thing. But I try to keep it to a minimum, and if I'm ever feeling like I'm getting to that point, then I usually try to take a step away and like go watch a show or something. Thank you for the follow, D Funky, Nutty Left Itchy, Titchy, and X Raider. Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Let me scroll up a little bit. There's so many chat messages. Yo, thank you for the sub, Atox. I appreciate it. Congrats for the great content. I just recently discovered my only comment is that you rotate heroes too much. My available playtime only allows me to one trick. Yes. The next Theory Thursday video will actually be me going in depth about how to shape hero pools. In which what I do on these videos, or when I do in these videos, and I'm trying to like rotate through a lot of different heroes, and I'm trying to squeeze in sort of like what ideas or heroes can be played in certain positions. I try to go through all the different heroes in the game because I want to sort of show everyone what their heroes might look like, or my approach to like their heroes or their one tricks. But if you want to be genuinely good at this game and you want to really, really improve quickly, I wholeheartedly recommend having a pool of like 1 to 3 heroes. Until like if once you're comfortable and happy with how you're performing on your 1 to 3 heroes, look to sort of expand. But trying to like stay really dedicated to a smaller hero pool will help out a bunch with a ton of aspects of the game. Understanding sort of like the fundamentals of the game, as well as understanding your own approach and identifying what kind of plays you find the most success with, and the plays that you are able to execute with your own skill set the best, sticking to 1 to 5 heroes is going to be really, really, really strong. Yo, thank you for the sub, Katie, or Party Key. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. But while I do rotate through a lot of heroes in this series, I strongly recommend that people do not try to imitate what I do here. I only do it for the purpose of, because I've gone through a lot of these heroes. I have a bunch of accounts because I like to see how high I can get on like each hero or each sort of sub role, whatnot. But I strongly recommend that people keep a limited hero pool for their own improvements until, like, I don't want to put like a requirement on it or like any sort of rank requirement. But once you feel like you have a good, solid understanding of what you're doing, why you're winning, and how a lot of like core aspects of the game like sort of work in your head, is when I'd recommend sort of expanding your hero pool. But until then, I think that keeping a smaller hero pool is really beneficial to improving. But in the end, do whatever's most fun for you. Overwatch is a game in the end. Most players are not trying to go pro. They're not trying to push the tippity top. So do what's fun for you. If you like playing a bunch of heroes, play a bunch of heroes. I think for the fastest way that people can improve, though, it's probably going to be like 1 to 3 tricking. I have a diagnosed hyperflex condition. I'm working on staying in one role, thinking closer to narrowing down to 3 heroes. Awesome. Great. That's great to hear. Thinking about this next game, though, Kiriko being banned is actually going to make this choice fairly difficult with our Zenyatta. I think that we're going to be leaning into a Juno direction. The idea behind the Juno is that we're going to need something to be able to keep up our Junker Queen in the mid fights, as well as our brawlier DPS who want to be fighting at closer ranges. But Kiriko would also allow us to sort of enable flanks. But unfortunately, since Kiriko is not enabled, Juno might be the best because it will allow us to still help with a lot of sort of flanks and off angles while still healing up our Junker Queen a lot. But we just need to be utilizing our speed boost ring the best that we can. Reloading, unfortunately, I had to shift my attention to our Zenyatta a bit. And I think that our Junker Queen is going to be a little bit too hard for me to care at the moment because their Weeing was taking an angle onto us, and it would have meant that if we left it ignored, we probably would have gone down pretty shortly after that Weeing took the angle. So I had to shift my attention away from the Junker Queen to make sure that me and my Zenyatta were able to stay alive the best that I could. And fortunately, my Junker Queen was able to proc their axe pretty early and get a lot of their self-healing, so that we didn't necessarily need to heal them, and we had the opportunity to actually turn around and deal with that Wu Yang flank. Because self-preservation on support is going to be a very, very, very important thing to like really nail down. Sometimes a lot of common support issues is that they'll sort of sacrifice their own life for their teammates too often, when it really should be that you're trying to keep yourself alive and trying to stay as active as you can in the fights as safely as you can, and not just try to like int for like a little bit of extra healing. Because if you're able to stay alive, you'll have those chances where sometimes people that you thought might die weren't actually going to die, and you could have lived to heal and find a lot more value as the fight would go on. So we just really want to be making sure that a lot of our teammates are safe and ready to fight when the time comes. The Sierra ult comes out, but is not going to find anyone but our Zenyatta, and we're going to cap this point. This is a really risky and greedy rotation, but I was thinking that I'd be able to do it if I got inside of our Junker Queen's shout range, as well as if I took the longer rotation through this left side. I feared that it might be a little bit too much to... I low-key might ult this. Oh, that was a really bad ult. I did not consider an aid. So we just put ourselves in a really bad spot ulticon wise, because now we don't have either of our support ults for this next fight while they just use their grab. So Juno sort of looks at us. I was going to try to dodge to the best of my ability, but they are able to hit the virus as we try to walk towards the mini. But we will be going down shortly after. I think that that Ray, with us not considering the Ana nade onto our Junker Queen, is going to actually set us back a decent bit, since if I was able to walk into this fight here, we could potentially use our Ray to win this point, but I think that won't be the case. Their Sombra is going to be consistently getting onto me and our Zenyatta, as we are a very squishy backline, so I need to be very careful with my positioning and not taking too much damage early, because if I take any sort of early damage, it's going to be a trigger for their Sombra to sort of step onto our backline and blow me and our Zenyatta up. So I need to make sure that I'm very, very, very careful and conservative with my HP so that I'm ready to fight off the Sombra when the time comes. So I don't want to be peeking that much. That's actually the wrong perk to pick. I should have gotten the triple jump. So with that Sombra on that left side, I'm going to be trying to enable my Zarya to just sort of poke and live the best that I can, but it's going to be really difficult to be opening these fights, especially as they sort of speed boost onto us and find some high charge Zarya damage into our face. It's going to be really hard to be living that. But as we swap to Ana, it's going to enable us to be a little bit safer. If we get a touch here, we might be able to win this point, but unfortunately that will not be the case. So Reaper Fade gets forced. We know the Sombra is still behind us, so we see them fighting our Tracer. Our Tracer is able to hit a very nice clip onto the Sombra to take them out. And I think with our next Ray usage, did they swap to Winston? They swapped to Winston. That's awesome for us, actually. This is a pretty big team fight that's happening here. I might actually just pop my Ray to see if we can blow them up. EMP coming out onto our Ray, but we are going to be able to take down that Sombra fairly shortly after. I think that Ray might have been another bad play, because that fight wasn't on the point, and their team comp has a lot more mobility than ours. So it's not going to result in exactly like a fight win or any point percentage. Oh, and they're on his headshot perk now. That's really hard for us. We want to be trying to keep up our teammates the best that we can, but I think that we might be wanting to swap to Brig fairly soon. With our Ana going down, it's going to mean we are only healer, so I'm going to be throwing Ring on main. They use their nano boost onto their Winston, so I just want to be backing up as there's going to be a very big threat onto us. I'm not able to quite find their Sombra, but we are going to put ourselves in a position where we can get onto the point. Our Ana is going to be attempted spawn camp by the Sombra, but they are able to get into our LOS early enough, and this is a hard game. I think that maybe I can be putting a little bit more attention towards actually actively fighting out the Sombra more. But our Ana will be going down pretty shortly here. And the Winston will be falling very low HP. Our Reaper goes down, so it's just going to be our Zarya, Tracer, and us on the point. So big missiles come out. We are able to find a good bit of damage. I think that they do have the Primal Rage. Otherwise, I might even Juno Ray there. Nade coming out to keep us alive, and we are going to find some nice tracking onto the Sombra to take them down. And I think that here, with their Primal Rage on board, I want to be trying to bait them in and use my Ray a little bit later. They also have their EMP, so maybe it's useful. Maybe it's a play to Maybe it would be a better play to use it early, but since their Sombra goes down due to our spy checking, we are going to be safe in saving our Ray. I think that saving our Ray here is going to be very, very big, so we can take the next point easily. As our Sombra's back, I'm going to pop it, and we get it off just in time. I was really scared that they would get the touch with that EMP, so I think better safe than sorry, since that EMP definitely could have actually turned this fight really sour for us fairly quickly. Oh, I did not know their spawn room was right there. I definitely got caught off guard. But I think that will still be a-okay. We don't have our Ray for their next fight, but they don't have their EMP either. Or their Primal, I think. So I think that very fair trade. We'll still be in a pretty strong position. And we will be moving on to this next point. My Zarya is pretty far up. I'm not able to get there in time, but we do get the point contest. So I'm just going to be trying to live and enable our team to stall the best that I can. Shooting up the turret, since it's going to be a very big issue for my Tracer later. Huge missiles onto their team, but as their Ana finds some decent LOS onto us, we need to be backing. Zarya gets nanoed, so I want to be just trying to keep up my teammates the best that I can. Finding more missiles. Unfortunately, I was not able to get them onto our Tracer in time, but our Zarya is back in this fight, and we have our Graviton Surge and our Nano Boost very soon. So I'm going to be throwing my ring at my Zarya. They want to be walking right side, which is a-okay. Need to be very careful of my peeks here, because peeking into the Sierra and the Ana is going to be fairly scary. Want to be dodging this Illari the best that I can to make sure that the sun doesn't explode onto me. And with that Zarya on right side, I think that maybe I can just be looking for a ring on the point. And then some missiles here. As their Torb wants to be walking onto us though, we need to be really careful with our positioning. And then even though our team is getting super active on the front line, we just need to be backing up and ready to kite into our support's LOS or into our Ana's LOS. Who is going to help us with the nano? I don't know how necessary it was, but that is a-okay. I understand why they would want to and why they were scared to do so. So I have my Ray here, and our team wants to be fighting this very close area. Zenyatta on this left is going to mean that we really need to be careful. Zenyatta falling 1 HP. I think I'm going to Ray, since their Zarya is in a very committed spot, as well as our Zarya is very low. We're going to be able to flip that bad spot for us on its head with just a push of a button. As our Sierra is very close, I just want to be cleaning that up, and we will be winning that game. Finding a bunch of value through our M1s on Juno, and then living as long as we can. Ending 17-3, only 3 deaths across that entire time, with our constantly being harassed by the Sombra, and we do end up getting play of the game as well. Oh, this is our kind of bad Ray. But we found a bunch of value here. And then I die. And I think that'll be a fairly good game. I think that the main thing that we were able to sort of utilize and find a bunch of value with was making sure that we were positioning ourselves in a way that would keep us alive the longest that we could. And that will be enough to take us up to Masters 5. Wow, winning trend still, 33%. Our Juno is in gold, but that's okay. I think that will be a very, very good game for our support. How many have we played today for our support? Was it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, okay. And I think that will be a good place to stop our support session for today. So if I'm making this into a video later, for my video YouTube audience, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bang. And then editing Eevee will cut there and it'll be awesome. Wow, that was a good game. That was a really good. That was fun. I love Juno. I've been adoring Juno's gameplay so much. We're gonna be playing some DPS in a second here. Um, maybe hopefully getting up to GM today would be really cool if we could get 2 rank up games or 2 rank up days. Or 2 rank ups today. Oh my gosh. Gold Juno got me to Masters. Yep. Yep. Thank you for the follow, Aguas and Ren OW. Thank you for the follows. I'm just taking a quick break. I'm gonna just sit here for a bit, drink some water. I'm gonna be reading chat for a second, and then we will be getting into our DPS games. Try to have 2 to 3 heroes in each role. It's hard because with tank, I don't like dive tanks at all. I'm a hog lover since beta. Yeah, tanks can be kind of tricky to have a specific hero pool with. Especially in ranked, because sometimes you're just gonna have like you're just gonna have like Mizuki Zen as your backline, so you're gonna need something to kind of like sustain yourself. But still, if you're able to, there's a lot of tanks actually you can play in ways and find value on that don't require nearly as much healing as people would expect. There's a very common consensus for a lot of tanks of like, you need healing. You need a bunch of healing to do a bunch of jobs, but you can be playing tanks in different ways to not require that much. Hopefully next tank video I'll be able to show like how to play Winston with like a low like resource or a low heal comp, or like D.Va or Doomfist, or like even like Ramatra or Orisa you can play with like barely any heals. You just need to know how it goes when you're playing with low heals. Is you need to understand exactly what your kit does best and make sure that you're constantly ready to play for that specific aspect, and not force and not require any other resources. So for Ramatra or Orisa, you want to be really ready to brawl. You want to be the last person on the point and ready to sort of fight out whoever you need to fight out. And you need to make sure that you're not taking too much damage in like a poke phase. And you want to save all of your resources to actually be ready to walk them down and like commit a sort of brawl. Yo, thank you so much for the sub, Understaffed. I appreciate it. That's a cool name. I like that. Understaffed. Listen on low heal would be cool. Can't stop playing mostly Ryan and sometimes Art Winston. Awesome. What do you think are the safest top 3 hero rotations for each role to climb rank consistently-ish? The safest top 3 for each role, I would say probably for tank, for everybody, like the entire audience, any player, I give this to anyone, it would be fine. I think for tank to climb ranks, the 3 hero pool I would recommend is probably D.Va, Mauga, Sigma? No, it's D.Va, Mauga, Ramatra. Yeah, to climb ranks, if you have these 3 in your sort of pool, I think that this would be a very good rotation to have. And I think that this covers all of the maps that you could possibly want, and you could play these with a bunch of different compositions, especially D.Va being a just general hyperflex sort of hero will allow you to play with lower resource heal comps, as well as you'll be able to play on dive maps and support sort of like more mobile compositions your team might have, or deny more mobile compositions the enemy teams might have. Mauga is the best frontliner in the game and is just generally a little overtuned right now. And then Ramatra does everything. Ramatra just does everything. They poke, they brawl, they just are good. That's my recommendation right now. But across all time, if I were to recommend people For all time, it would be probably, or all time in Overwatch 2 in 5v5 at least. It would be, would it be D.Va or Winston? It'd probably be D.Va. It's D.Va, Junker, Queen, Hazard. No, it's still just from Matra. I recommend Mauga right now because they're a little overtuned, but Junker Queen I think is a little bit more consistent to climb ranks with across metas. For DPS to climb right now, the best 3 heroes you could probably have at this moment, I'd recommend I think it's just Reaper, Tracer, Pharah right now. Actually, Soldier is really good. It might be Soldier over Tracer. I think Tracer is also just very solid. For right now, Pharah is just really, really strong. If you're going to be picking basing a sort of like hero pool for DPS right now, I'd recommend sort of building around like an Ashe, a Pharah, Tracer, or Reaper, probably. I think basing a sort of pool around those heroes right now is going to be fairly strong for ranked. Pharah is just going to be the most oppressive hero in the game right now. I think that they have the highest win rate across regions and ranks. Just because they got the perk buffs as well as they're just able to one-shot basically. Once you have your major online, you can just one-shot most squishies. Truly believe in Hitscan, Soj, Tracer, and Soldier are so flexible. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Sojourn, Tracer, and Soldier are just going to be some of the most flexible heroes in the game, and you can play them in a wide variety of comps, on a wide variety of maps. You can just kind of slap them in wherever. Thank you for the follow, just Natty or Nido, and Zach loves Siraj. Thank you for the follow. I've been watching my videos lately, or every day recently. Love my commentary. Glad to catch a stream. How's it going? It's going really well. We just finished our support games. We ended 4-0, getting us up to Masters. And now I'm just taking a quick little break before we go into our DPS games for the day. But I think that those are my three recommendations for DPS. And for support, it's going to be Kiriko. Thinking. I think it's Kiri, Lucio, Alari. Yeah, I think Kiri, Lucio, Alari are just going to be your 3-4 support. They're going to be really good to sort of play around. Kiriko, you can slap in whatever comp is the most generalist hero in the game. You can poke with them, you can brawl with them. It's just Kiriko. Lucio is going to be a staple sort of denial main support, while Brig is going to be better in some areas at sort of denying plays, as well as if you're leaning a little bit more into a closer quarters brawl, or maybe a bit more like a dive. I think that Brig might be able to support a bit easier by keeping your backliner a bit more safe, as well as providing some support to your off anglers with packs and whatnot. Lucio can do a similar thing. It's just going to be a bit different in how you execute it. It's going to be a little bit harder on some high ground maps, but that's where Alari comes in, where if there's a high ground map and you can just be kind of free shooting as Alari, I think that it's going to be very, very, very strong. So those are the 3 that I'd recommend for support right now, and probably just kind of overall. You can replace Alari with Wu Yang in a lot of instances, but I think Alari is just really, really consistent with their damage. But despite my recommendations, and I think that those 3 are just going to be generalized good hero pools for people to lean into if they want to be climbing in ranked, do what's most fun to you. Play the heroes that you like to play, even if they low-key suck. Because if you are playing a hero that you don't enjoy with the idea that you might get a little bit better, um, maybe if what's it called? If you're not having fun playing the game, then you are inevitably going to just be playing worse over time. Even if you're playing like the ideal or the optimal heroes, if you don't enjoy the game, you're going to put less passion in, you're going to be like less willing and less excited to grind. Your thoughts are naturally going to flow elsewhere. You're going to get more tilted as you play, and it's just generally going to be less productive over a long period of time. So if a hero isn't fun to you, like straight up don't play it. Ranked, this is a controversial opinion to some, I'm aware, but I've expressed this mentality quite a few times. I see ranked as like a test of like RNG, where you load into a game, if you're solo queuing, you load into a game with 9 other random players who are going to do a bunch of different things, and you need to express your skills and your value that you can find to see the victory screen. Like, I don't join voice chat. I usually don't talk in text chat that much. It is a solo game. It's a single player game for me. So what that means and what that really should encourage is you to do what feels right for you. If like playing Torbjorn on Circuit Royale is what you think you can do the best on and how you can see the victory screen, fuck what everyone else says. That's what you think, and you need to play to how you feel and what's most fun to you. I will talk about it a lot in the next Theory Thursday, but one tricking genuinely is really, really good to learn the game and get good at the game. Because with one tricking, you're thinking to yourself, how can I find my value on my hero in this scenario? And you're going to be exposed to a wide variety of different scenarios and maps and comps and matchups that you're going to have to find your value consistently in. And understanding your strengths of a hero is going to be what enables you to make your decisions like very strong to actually win those games. I always whenever I used to like coach players and I was like sort of bringing like anyone who was like really new to the game, I would say like the same thing of just like straight up just one trick and then we can build it out later. I use the example of like Tracer. As Tracer, you're not going to have that much like raw damage numbers. You're going to have very little HP. So if there's a lot of people looking at you, if you're going to be fighting on a front line, if you tried to play Tracer like a Reinhardt, you're probably going to die a lot because you don't want to be frontlining. You don't want to be actively like taking a bunch of attention or like sort of just like raw number trading with the enemy team because you don't have that many numbers to trade. But what you do have is mobility. You have mobility and survivability. With your blinks and your recall, you're able to take map space and attention from the enemy team into places which will give your team favorable number trades, as well as you will be able to assassinate and sort of blow up any sort of weak like spots that the enemy team has, or just punish any sort of like weak positions on the map using your mobility, which is what Tracer's whole sort of like gimmick is. And now, after I had like a player who I'd coach like learn Tracer a bunch, I'd say, okay, now let's try to incorporate Genji, which is very, very similar in their playstyle. You're going to have a lot of mobility, you're going to have a lot of survivability, but you're going to have a little bit less of it, and it's going to be spec'd a little bit more into your raw numbers. Genji has a little bit more raw HP, and they're going to have a little bit like higher just raw damage on the high ground or on like the front line. If you're hitting all of your shurikens, it's going to be a much higher DPS than Tracer. Well, not much higher, but a little bit higher DPS than the Tracer. So the ideas that you want to play for are a little bit less flanky. You want to be playing a little bit less for like the map control and like sort of like moving all around and utilizing your mobility. And you can lean a little bit more into those sort of like frontliney number trades. And understanding first where your strengths lie as a hero and how you execute them off of one tricking, and then you sort of gradually broaden your horizons by heroes that sort of spec into things a little bit differently. It will still enable you. You still have built up the core idea of how to play to your hero's kit based off of one tricking, but you need to be familiar with that idea and that mindset first before actually like expanding your hero pool that much. That's my personal philosophy. Again, I keep emphasizing it. If you like playing a bunch of different heroes and the joy of Overwatch is trying out a bunch of different things, do that. Have fun with the game. Because if you're restricting yourself and it's not fun to restrict yourself to one hero, then you're not going to improve. You need to be enjoying what you do. That's my personal philosophy, and I'll go into a lot of detail on that in the next Theory Thursday. So I'm going to take one quick look at chat again, and then we'll get into our DPS games. Hey, Evie, what are your thoughts on Venture? I'm trying to learn it, especially poking rather than flanking 24/7, but you'd love to hear your opinions on their state. I dislike Venture. But that's not that you're talking gameplay wise. Venture, I think, is fairly solid right now. They can do a lot of things. They are able to pressure, and they're going to be playing a lot more of like a sort of like flankier playstyle, though they can be playing a lot more for like the sort of frontline trades as well. But they're super self-sufficient. The healing or the kind of overhealth that they give themselves off of every single ability that they use is going to allow you to be very self-sufficient and win a lot of 1v1s on like sort of like isolated spots on the map. You can be finding a lot of value, and you can definitely get up to like mid to high champ playing in one trick in Venture right now. They might just struggle a little bit against sort of more range-based comps or heroes like Pharah. Pharah might shut down Venture quite a bit, but they are very good right now. Not the best, not the worst, but they're very fine. If you enjoy playing Venture, then it's going to be very good. What I'd recommend to sort of focus on, and what I'd imagine Venture should find the most value in doing, is just understanding... just simplify the game for yourself. If you can fuck up their tank, go fuck up their tank. If you can't do that, then find a way to go fuck up their backline. If you can identify each game and each matchup which one of those you can do effectively, I think that you'll be finding a lot of value on Venture. What keeps you from the mark all the scene button? I literally don't see it. I don't see all of like the news. I straight up don't see it, and also, I don't have it yet, but I will have it as a Twitch like points sub goal soon, or like what are these called? Like a channel point rewards. I'll have like some channel points that if somebody watches enough streams, I'll hit all the seed, or I'll hit the mark all the seed button. But I'll open up my loot boxes since that's been. We got Posh Tracer. I'll equip that. That looks fun. And Rosewood Moira. That's also kind of fun. Oh, that's cute. I like that too. I'm the biggest fan of that victory pose. I think that victory poses can be like super cool. I've actually gone through quite a few of them when I'm looking for thumbnails. Or like trying to find inspiration for thumbnails. And a lot of them are so cool. This game has so much sauce. Oh, wait, that's adorable. Wait, I really like that spray. Wait, I really like that spray. Okay, let's get into our DPS games. I'm going to be in Vaxta while we are in queue. But I'll still be taking a look at chat. When do you recommend bringing out a hero that you're learning into ranked? When you feel like you're ready. When you feel like, yeah, I think I can do good, like good on this hero. I think that I'm able to perform in my games. Whip it out. In the end, a lot of people, ranked is going to have as much value as you give it. So if you're like, ultimately in the end, it's really good to sort of like remind yourself it's a game. Sometimes if you try and if you like are practicing a hero in quick play and you think that you maybe are ready for ranked with it, and you give it a try and it goes awfully, it goes terrible, and you throw a game and it just really sucks, that's okay. You still tried. Genuinely, you still tried. While maybe there will be like some people in ranked who will give you like some mean words and like flame you off of like your performance, ultimately, if the most important thing that I think that a player can do in ranked is know what you are playing for. Know what you're actually trying to accomplish by playing ranked. If you're playing ranked for your own enjoyment and you want to test yourself and see, I think I understand this hero, I think that I'm finding a lot of value on this hero and I can win in ranked, and you want to test it, go ahead and try it. Since I think the most tragic thing is just not trying things enough. It's okay to fail, and that will give you a lot of chances to learn. If you want to be better at this game, you can never actually do it. If you want to be better at anything, you can never actually like get better at it unless you try first. So whenever you feel like you're ready, just give it a whirl. It's important to understand, like, I think your sort of goals and your mindset going into ranked, of like, if you're playing for like fun, if you're playing to try out a new hero, if you are playing to like super duper try hard win, do whatever it takes to find the victory screen, all of those are fine. However people want to approach ranked is fine. But I think that a lot of people don't sort of give themselves enough like expectations or like leeway in terms of how they want to be playing, and it ends up to a lot of frustration and a lot of unnecessary stress, where I'll have it's one of the reasons why I have a gazillion different accounts, is I'll have some accounts with the idea of like, okay, I'm super duper try hard and I'm doing whatever it takes to win on this account, and I'll have other accounts where I'm still trying. I don't think I've ever like intentionally like thrown a game. Where I'll still try, but I'm trying a bit less. I'm maybe in like a VC with like my friends. I've had like a drink or two or so, but I'm still trying. In ranked. I'm trying to win. But it's just a bit less serious. And that's okay. That is definitely okay. There are going to be players who take the game less seriously. There are going to be players who take it super duper seriously in ranked. And it's important to know what you are about whenever you hit the Q button. IMO. If you want to try to learn and get into the improvement mindset, then your wins and losses don't matter. If you want to have fun. Try to win some games with your friends, catch a few dubs. Whatever the case, just understand like what you're actually trying to accomplish with your games. But loading into this next game here. Vendetta angle here. I could try some Vendetta. Vendetta would not be bad here. I do think Vendetta is in a slightly weaker spot, but I'll give it a whirl. The idea behind the Vendetta is that we're going to be playing in fairly close quarters and brawly, with our backline being quite safe and sustainable on this. I could just counter swap Navilia, that'd be funny. With them sort of taking angles, I just want to be chilling. I want to make sure that I'm postured in a way that we'll be getting onto their backline when we need to. Since they have a Venture, it's going to be a little bit scarier as their Winston goes to force us out. I was trying to time my hit with our Doomfist engage, but I will be a little bit late in doing so, and I'm not going to be able to find as much value as I really wanted there. I think that I was misusing my Fire Strikes as well. I could have been using my Fire Strikes a lot more generously in this sort of poke phase. See if I'm able to force out. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm swapping. Tracer's banned, Genji's banned. I'm sorry, I don't think that I'm capable of playing Vendetta that well here, or well enough to win, especially since we swapped onto the Wu Yang. So I'm going to be playing a different hero. I'm wondering which one that might be. Reaper could be fine. Not even just because Winston is in the game. A lot of people actually think, I think that people overvalue Reaper as a Winston counter, which I actually think a good Winston doesn't interact with a Reaper that much. I think it's very hard to properly counter Winston as Reaper. You'll just be punishing Winston's mistakes a little bit easier. With that Genji on left side, I want to be looking for pressure onto this Zenyatta, but as our team is sort of fighting, we see their Winston jump, so that will be a mistake since they're walking into our team. So we're able to walk forward and just force Primal Rage. And as our Wien gets low, their Genji wants to step onto our Cassidy. Deflect gets forced, and now we can take this white room. As their Dragon Blade comes out, I'm looking for any trade onto their backline that I can find. And we will be going down in the process. Kind of a very rough start to this game. I think that we didn't do nearly as enough on Vendetta as we needed to, and I think that it'll be very hard to get a touch here and get any of our ultimates out since we don't have that much mobility. Maybe our Doomfist gets it? Our Doomfist is able to get the touch, which will enable us to find the kill onto their Venture. Reaper, whoa, my game. I dropped a lot of frames there. But we can find the flip onto the point and bait their Winston into our team with our Fade and then TPing into our white room. If their Winston went to point, that probably would have been a little bit harder for us to deal with, but I think that now that we have a little bit of our footing, the game is going to get a good bit easier. So I'm going to be trying to play closer to this corner, as this is more into my effective range. And as soon as we get fairly low, it's going to be time for us to back up and stabilize. As their Zenyatta walks up, I'm going to be looking for a play here. Fortunately, I'm going to be way out of my range. It would have been better if I faded forward more. And then actually use my ultimate. So a very rough start to this game. I think that I just kind of didn't get enough value on Vendetta. And not to the fault of the hero whatsoever. I think that I was just playing it fairly or quite poorly. Maybe a little bit too rusty. Maybe I need to brush up on the hero a bit beforehand. Oh, that's why. Bang. Alright, and now I have the right music playing, and now we're good. So looking at our team comp here, we have a Doomfist, Cassidy, Kiriko, Brigitte. Reaper's still going to be very, very strong here. Pharah might be good as well. I think that I am going to be sticking a little bit more towards like this ground flex DPS direction, though. I think that the Reaper is going to be pretty good. I wanted to see if I could TP my team out to get to the point a little bit quicker, but we'll be a little bit late here because of that. So Winston falls low HP. I'm going to be immediately turning to the point to see if I can find the kill on the Genji, and we are successful in doing so. Winston finds the step onto our Kiriko, but they will be going down very shortly after. Main thing that I want to be thinking about as Reaper is where can I play that will let me shoot them with the best effective range. So I want to be close to my targets. I want to be sort of able to pump in as much damage as possible with my shotguns, which are only going to be doing real damage at close range. So I want to be positioning myself on areas that will enable me to do so. As I hear them walking this close right side, I'm going to start walking towards that right. Even though their Zen is on that far left, they're going to find a Discord and an angle onto us, but that just means that we can back up since that position is going to be much harder for us. Cassie is walking inside of our space here, and I'm going to be actually walking towards my Cassie. As they're low, there's a high chance that somebody might try to follow up and look for a dive onto my Cassie, and it will be the case. Their Winston will walk into our effective range. I'm trying to greed my Wraith here, and I'm playing towards my Cassie again, sort of acting as like a secondary brig, because if they ever want to be jumping towards us, they'll have to deal with our range very, very soon afterwards. I'm going to be taking this left side though, since our team is speccing a lot into that right lane. I'm going to be just trying to deny this angle that our team would kind of fall over to. And now this is going to be putting us in a pretty rough spot, though. Even though we were able to peel two people's attention and our Hanzo and Zen were looking at us, for the most part, our team will be going down on the right side. It happens sometimes. Very A-okay. Really wish that Tracer wasn't banned. Tracer would be really good here. But Reaper will be more than enough to actually win and find the value that we need to find. So our Doomfist is getting a little bit low on the point. We see their Winston and their Hanzo on that right side. So I'm just going to be chilling and waiting to see how the point actually develops here. I'm going to see if I can walk up and fight anything for free. As their Winston and their Hanzo are looking to force us out, I'm going to be backing up and TPing into our rush. And we are able to find the kill onto the Cassidy using the faster fire rate from our rush. And we will find the Kiriko shortly after as well. Main thing that I'm thinking about is that I want to be playing and finding locations that are closed and in close range. That will deny the longer range aspects of their team comp, so my team is actually able to play the game and frag out how they want to. So as this Kiriko TPs to their Hanzo, I'm going to be using that as an opportunity to actually use my Death Blossom and clean up the rest of their team. And we will be winning that point and turning it around into our favor. I'm really upset that I wasn't able to get the value that I wanted to on Vendetta. I think that it was just kind of... something frazzled me in that first round. I don't know exactly what, but I just wasn't able to sort of think through my gameplay on Vendetta as clearly as I wanted to. Thinking about how we want to be playing for this next game, at this next point, I think that Reaper still will be definitely fine. Since our team didn't really want to TP out last time, I'm just going to be walking out with them, so to make sure that I'm not in a bad spot early. As our team wants to be fighting towards that right side, this left area is going to be a pretty hard and important spot to retake later. So I'm going to be taking it initially. Their Hanzo hacks the health pack, so we're not going to be able to reliably kite towards it. And they will be winning that 1v1 based off of that, finding early healing from the health pack. But our Doomfist is able to trade us out, and we will be maybe turning this fight around. Another amazing kill from our Doomfist onto the Kiriko, and our Brigitte and Kiriko end up on the point. It might allow us to sort of brawl onto the point later ourselves, but our Doomfist is just going to be clutching this fight up. Really awesome to see. As our Hanzo sort of looks at us, I'm going to just be TPing into this closed space, which will help us later with our value. I think I might even TP to this high ground, which will take me a little bit closer to the primary choke that we want to be playing towards. But as there are three people that are looking at us, it's going to be a really hard fight. So I'm just not going to fight the hard fight, and I'm going to instead look to fight elsewhere. Zenyatta had their orbs charged up, and their Winston's looking to bubble me off and blow me up. Unfortunately, I think that was a fairly bad step. I thought that their team was walking more towards the coast, and if they were on the coast area, then it would have been... Ooh! Oh wait, our Doomfist is crazy. If they were more on like their coast area towards like the sort of like pit on the map, it would have enabled me to fight that Hanzo who would have been alone on main, but I misjudged the situation and they would all be stacked a bit more towards that main area. And we will be going down very shortly afterwards. I think that I'm playing a little bit too aggressively here, and I should be looking for plays after they take their angles and their space. So I can be playing a little bit more patient once we have the control of the point. I think that we don't need to be doing as much. Our Brig is getting juggled, but our team is able to find some kills, so I'm just going to be stacking on my backline, making it hard for their Winston to do what they want to do. And Winston's 1 HP inside of our team space, and they will be cleaning that up. I think that I'm definitely I was trying to do a few too many solo plays playing a bit too much like a tracer when I should just be trying to play stack on my team, brawl things out when I can, like a Reaper should do. So with that in mind, I think that I'll be leaning a bit towards our main and our coast area, and I can be looking for my teleport plays later to actually fight the fight that we would need to play for. So Kiriko's main, and Ramatra is as well. I'm going to be chilling, and now it might be time for us to go for some sort of play. I'd like to see Suzu out before I go for a Death Blossom, but I was going to be chilling, or I was going to be pressured to actually fight that a little bit too early, which will be a-okay. They used a few ultimates there. They used their Rush, they used their Transcendence if I remember correctly. They don't quite have their EMP yet, but they are going to be closing on their Noon yet again. Walking down our Cassidy, I want to be trying to help this the best that I can. So I TP'd over, took a bit of attention off of our Cassidy, and we are going to be able to trade out their tank once ours goes down. So it's going to be important for our team to actually walk into the space that's closed for us and force them into our effective range. And so we walk through this right side, and now we're able to take the point back. As the Cassidy falls 1 HP, I'm going to look for a TP to clean that up, and now it's time for us to just brawl on the point, exchange our raw numbers with the enemy. As Doomfist walks into our rallying brig on the point, we will be winning this game. Okay, I don't know what had me so frazzled at the start, but I think that we made the right adjustments. We were able to play a lot more for our brawl once we swapped to the Reaper, and we were able to just sort of like clean up everybody inside of us, and we will win that game. Our Doomfist definitely did a lot and clutched up in quite a few fights that might have been difficult otherwise. But that's a huge dub for us. Hi, Shrek. So, thinking about our next game, I'm wondering what kind of heroes I might want to try to incorporate. I'd like to talk about, if we get like a chance, I still haven't played Junkrat on this series, but I also would like to try to play some Mei eventually. We have not played Junkrat or Torbjorn yet on the series, but I think that we've covered every other hero, at least in some video. I'd like to play a little bit of Echo too. Oh, I probably haven't played Sombra, but I'm not actually that good at Sombra. Navilia on our team now. For context, that is my that's my team's support. That's my team's flex support player. So that's like one of the people who I'm working with to try to climb up to OWCS. That's why they teabagged me in the last game. Did I try Sombra? No, I did not think I tried Sombra yet on the series, though Sombra is one of my worst DPS, I think. So I don't know how educational I can actually make a Sombra video, but if we're up a round or so, I could give Sombra a whirl. I know what she does and how to play her. I just literally have like no time actually like practicing the execution of her playstyle. Also, thank you for the follow, Pip VVS. Could we get the replay code for this match? I've been thinking about that. I actually thought about it when I first started this series. I was thinking about like posting the replay codes in every like description of the video, but yeah, I think I can do that. I'll get you the replay code after this game. I'll try to remember. What is my main role? I've played quite a few. I can play every role at a very high level, but I'm most known and have the most time on tank, probably followed very shortly after by support. My tank was like this season or last season, it was like GM or Champ 3, like 90%. My support's Champ 4, 90%. My DPS is like Champ 5, like 50%. I'm thinking that I'm going to be leaning into Genji a bit here with this composition. Genji will enable me to follow up on a lot of the plays that my Mago would want to make, as well as sort of buffer and support the areas around my Alari to help them shoot. As I see their Genji Lucio on right side, my Cassie wants to be fighting that, but my Mago is going to be alone on that left side, so I'm going to be going over to help my Mago with this fight and putting some damage onto their Hog, trying to block the hook for my Maga and maintaining the space over here. But as we fall low, I'm just going to be getting out. The Roadhog is going to be chasing me and finding the hook, but that will enable my Mauga to run free and find the kill onto that Baptiste, which is going to be a very good trade for us. Since I gave them a choice, I forced them to follow me and find the kill onto me, which would enable our Mauga to walk onto their backline. Or they could just try to buffer my Mauga and let me stabilize so we can get another hit later. It's going to be a difficult choice for them. But generally, Mauga into Roadhog is going to be a pretty hard matchup. My Mauga goes in, so I'm going to be helping out with this fight the best that I can. And we are going to find the kill onto the Lucio, but they do find our Lari and the Cassie in the process. So with that, we really want to be contesting that Sojourn, and we're going to find a nice kill onto them. Oh, I really wanted someone to shoot my deflect. But unfortunately we'll be going down there. Good kill onto the Sojourn, but unfortunately we're not able to find the kill onto the Baptiste that we really needed to win that fight, and the rest of our team would go down before that. So thinking about this next point, we see our Mauga on the low ground and the Sojourn on high. I want to be ready to contest the Sojourn in the mid fight, as if I'm denying them from getting their value, it will enable a lot of my team to actually shoot and fight who they need to. Our Mauga is getting absolutely exploded here. Using whole hog window to try and blow up our Mauga's cage. A trade onto the Sojourn though, and this is going to probably be our last fight. I'm going to see if I can get my ring speed. Their Genji did get the beat, so now we just want to be chilling. I can be poking out their Genji the best that I can, and they will be going down in the process, not before they not before they find our Juno, unfortunately, which will be putting us in a really rough spot for this next fight, as that's going to be our primary healer. If they walk up early, it's going to mean that we are in a bad spot, so I need to be playing in a fairly aggressive position, ready to step onto their backline or take an early fight or early 1v1 to sort of make up for the fact that we are down one of our main supports. But with them C9ing and not touching the point in time, it will mean that we will be in a pretty decent spot. So I'm going to make sure that I'm kiting inside of my support LOS here. And we will clean up the rest of their team. Lucio gets out, unfortunately, but with that Lucio walking away towards the point, we'll just be able to get the first cap on this point, I think fairly free, unless they go for an early contest. We see their Roadhog fighting up, which is going to make it a little bit hard for us. Hook comes out onto us, but we are able to find the deflect to block it. Our Mauga's still fighting, so I want to be supporting this however I can, and I hear the Genji on left, so I'm just going to go to mark that and enable my Alari to shoot main, since if their Genji got onto our Alari, it would be really rough for us later. But we are able to clean up the rest of their team fairly convincingly. I love the ragdolls in this game. We have our Blade and our Sun. I think that we might be trying to go more aggressively onto their team here. As the Roadhog's 1 HP, I really want to see if I could clean that up, but we do force the lamp out with our Blade, as they're walking up this right side area, I was hoping to see if I could sort of bait their Roadhog to miss their hook or not be able to find the hook onto me, but they do. Oh, they heard me. Wow, crazy ears. I think usually wall climb is very difficult to hear. It's usually a quieter noise for Kiriko and Genji, but the Roadhog was able to catch it out and find the hook onto us, or put their crosshair positioning into a place that will make it very easy to hit the hook onto us. But I think that the Genji's finding a lot of value. They do end up swapping off of the Roadhog onto Junker Queen here. Junker Queen's going to be a very fine swap for them. I don't think that changes too much about what we want to be playing for. Just means that we're able to sort of contest their backline a little bit more and potentially blow up their team or their tank a little bit easier in the late fight. With their team walking, we don't necessarily want to be committing too much since they're all really stacked together. It's going to be really hard to find any big value. But as their Junker Queen walks up, we just want to be stalling for time to get our Maga back into this fight. And as our Maga is back in this fight, we can be looking for a play. A really nice roll from their Cassie will make that fight very close, but we are able to find that kill. I'm going to just be playing around this mini area and then see if I can posture and stage in a way to maybe spawn camp this Cassie. As Lucio is going back to get them, I don't really want to fight that 1v2, so I'm going to be leaning back a little bit, trying to see if I can exploit any weak areas. As I know that there are 2 people in their spawn right now, it'll mean that there's going to be less people towards our front line, which maybe is a chance that I can exploit. So Junker Queen goes onto our back line. Our Maga finds a cage onto their Lucio, but I'm able to find a kill onto their Baptiste. Junker Queen's very low inside of our space, so I'm going to be backing up. Since I have my deflect still, they're not going to be that much of a threat to us, so we can just back up for their Junker Queen and blow them up. I think very good game so far. We're playing this decently well on the Genji, and our mechanics still feel pretty good. With our Maga going in, I have my blade. I'm going to be using it, I think, a little bit later, and I'm going to be taking an off angle here to see if I can take out anyone. But unfortunately, the Baptiste lamp will stop our sort of reckoning in their back line, though we do have our blade for this next fight. I could have maybe potentially popped my blade there, but as I got antied by the Junker Queen, we weren't able to get the lifesteal perk from our... I think I'm too late to get touched. Unfortunately, we will be giving up that point, but we can still look for any kills onto their backline, potentially clip farm a little bit as we wait for the next point to unlock, and we force out 2 massive ultimates from them and still find the kill onto the Sojourn. So they just use their window and their high noon, which will let us retake this next point much easier. Going for those aggressive fights even after you potentially like lost is really strong to threaten out ults. Just making sure that you don't use your own in the meantime so that you're actually able to get more value out of your ultimates at the right time later. But if you can scare them into thinking that they might lose their advantage, it can be really good. So I'm going to be opening this fight here with my blade, but as they use their beat, I'm just going to be backing up since there's not going to be any real kills that I can find after they pop their beat. So I'm going to turn around and miss all my shots onto the Junker Queen. But with their Lucio going in, I think that we will still be allowed to go for that play. I'm going to be stepping onto Sojourn a bit. I want to steal the mini away from them. And we're not able to find that kill quite, but that's going to be a-okay. Main thing that we really want to be considering as Genji in these fights is, since our team wants to be kind of like brawling and duking it out, as well as like shooting a lot, as our Weeing wants to be just pumping in damage over the course of time, same with our Cassidy, and our Juno wants to be uncontested, a little bit more so than their Baptiste and Lucio. We want to be marking out any like huge threats from their team. So Junker Queen ult comes out from our Junker Queen, and we're going to follow up on it onto the Baptiste, and then getting away from the Junker Queen, baiting out their axe, which will enable a very positive fight for our Queen a little bit later. finding some damage onto their squishies. Looking at where my Junker Queen stage means that we probably... Oh, wow. We want to be putting ourselves in a spot that's ready to follow up on it, but as they walk towards us on the left side, it's going to make it harder to do so. With our casting falling low, we want to look for a dash to clean that up. But their Baptiste is unfortunately going to be able to take an angle onto us. Our Juno is using their Ray, and their Baptiste is using Lamp. So we are going to be able to find those kills, but Bubble comes out onto our Cassie on point. We might be able to win that brawl, but nonetheless, since we found those kills in the spawn, once we turn around for the point, it's going to mean that things are looking up and in our favor, but we need to turn around for the point to do that, or for that to be the case first. Since our Junker Queen is fighting now, it's time for us to get active, but their Baptiste is going to find a really, really nice burst onto us, and I think that we just kind of fall over there. We stayed in their spawn a little bit too long there, but alas, these things happen. Kind of outside of our control, and maybe I could have been a little bit more chill and went back to the point instead of fighting up towards their spawn with our Junker Queen. But it looks like our Cassie is going to frag out, and we will get this flip back. I'm very close on my blade, and they use their beat, which is going to be the main thing that can stop our blade. So as long as I don't die here, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. Popping my blade to make sure that their Lucio is not able to do anything fancy or potentially win the 1v1 against us, and we will be winning this game 3-1. Ending 22-6. I think that while we didn't actually find like crazy amounts of frags throughout that game, we found some pretty nice ones and some very valuable frags in the mid fights, finding our ways onto the Baptiste and the Sojourn a lot in the as our team started brawling, to enable them to just sort of like exchange with the enemy teams very freely and win that game. So getting back our winning trend, getting up to Masters 1, 79%. Still a gold on our Genji though, which is that's okay. What is the role I enjoy playing the most? I really love all of the roles. I adore playing all the roles in this game. The one that I enjoy the most? I'm not sure. I just love... I don't know if I could exactly pick one, and I try my best, not to pick one. I try to be good at everything to potentially allow myself to compete on every role, but I am just most known for my tank. So I end up playing that the most. There's just benefits to all of them. It's kind of based off the mood. I'm a very ambitious and greedy person. I want it all, and I want to be good. I want to be really, really good at every role. So I work hard to do so. I think maybe support. If I had to pick one, it might be support. I really enjoy playing support, and support has some of my favorite heroes to play. I think Lucio is just low-key one of the most fun in the game. One of the most fun heroes in the game. I just really like support, I think. There's a cultural thing in the competitive scene where people are very unwilling to sort of accept any role swaps or changes, or anyone off-rolling. So since I'm known for my tank, I'm kind of shoved in that box of it, even though I've competed and I played in contenders on support back in Overwatch, early Overwatch 2, and I've competed in Face of Masters, which is basically similar to contenders in... I'll try this for a little. Actually, yeah, I'll try on-run for a second. I've been grinding quite a bit of on-run recently off stream. And I've been having so much fun with them. I do not think on-run is the best hero. I'm going to be so for real. I do not think on-run is very good. But they're really, really, really fun. Giving our Kiriko TP, I just want to be holding this hotel area. And as their Junker Queen gets set on fire, Suzu will be forced for the enemy team. And we just want to be kind of rolling through and chilling. Main thing that we want to be focusing on here is trying to enable some times for us to get our fire off. And now that their Kiriko is burning, we want to be kind of staring at their Junker Queen a little bit, putting some damage in, enabling our Orisa the best that we can. Junker Queen's super 1 HP and probably going onto this high ground, so I'm going to be taking an angle over here. See if I can set fire to this Kiriko, and I'm walking up a little bit as I have my dash back. But Suzu will be coming out, and we will be going down shortly after to that cat and the Kiriko. I think that on-run can be played here. Do I want to make it harder for myself? A little bit. I'll try on-run for a little bit longer, and if it's not working, then I'm going to be swapping to Pharah. Pharah is going to be really good into their comp because they don't have a direct hit scan, as well as they're going to be needing to get into close range to find value. So Pharah sort of slowing them down with our boop, as well as just pumping in a bunch of damage is going to make it really hard for them. But as we get low HP, trying to get healed up by our team, I probably should have just been a little bit safer and then end up and just drop. But I'll be greedy and take a little bit too much damage there. Yeah, the tickle monster is coming. I have my on-run ult here. I may be able to clutch this. I don't think so. Tracer and Queen walking up here. I want to provide a TP for my Kiriko. But we are able to find the kill onto the Tracer, and now we have our ultimate ability ready. I think since I'll be swapping off on-run, normally I don't get too many ultimate perks. But since we're planning on swapping, and I'm sticking for my ultimate, I'm putting a little bit more value into it through our perk. Suzu gets forced, and our Orisa goes in, but as our Orisa goes down, I think that it's going to mean that we really need to kind of clean up their team very quickly. So we're going to be popping our ultimate and trying to go for that assassination onto their backline as fast as we can to make sure that they're not able to stabilize and pump in damage over time. Junker Queen walking up. Our Orisa's not quite here yet, and their cat does scout us, unfortunately. So I'm going to be backing, finding the fire onto their Tracer, and their cat's chasing us down. And their team will be taking us out, but that is going to be okay because it will give us the opportunity to swap. B coming out from our team, Kiriko TPing into our backline and going down very shortly after. Our Orisa steps into their spawn, but then falls shortly to the cat. Our team is now stuck playing against their Junker Queen, which might be a little bit difficult for us, but our cat is able to take it down. Lucio falling shortly after, and I think that we will be winning this point. My Kiriko pinging something on the right side, so I'm just going to be a little careful of that. Trying to catch out their Tracer if I can, but as I fall low HP to the cat, I want to be making sure that I'm chill and I'm trying to live the best that I can so I can get value a little bit later. Sojourn's 1 HP. I'm going to continue spamming it out a little bit, see if I can cut off the healing to this Junker Queen. We are successful in doing so, finding the kill onto the Junker Queen as well as the Kiriko shortly after, and we will be winning this fight. I think the Pharah swap's going to make this way easier than On-Run. I don't think On-Run's that good of a hero, nor did I think I was playing that well on her. So Pharah is just going to make us have a lot more consistent value, as well as, especially now that we're getting our perks up, it's going to make it so that we can potentially just be one-shotting a lot of these like valuable targets like that OCing Sojourn. Pharah's going to be in a really strong spot because of things like that right now, where sometimes the enemy team will be going for plays, but if you're staying alive long enough, and if you're going for those sort of plays, it's going to enable you to just kind of blow up in one shot really, really valuable targets that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise or on other heroes. If their Jetpack Cat walking forward and their Ashe on that back main, we are able to force out their Ashe LOS. So we can just focus our shots on the Jetpack Cat. Unfortunately not able to hit a direct onto them, but we do have our barrage coming up soon, and we can be using that, probably just kind of one-shot their Zarya. Barrage is one of the ultimates that's like, it can be used to sort of like team wipe. But usually it's best to just kind of one-shot a tank most of the time. I'm a little bit scared of somebody taking this top left area, but I think that that will be not too big of a concern right now. As the rush comes out, it's going to mean that I think I could be looking for my barrage here, but I'm a little bit scared of getting one shot by their Cassidy. But we are able to find that kill. Our Kiriko goes to help us shortly after, and now I have my barrage for anyone who wants to be touching the cart, but we will just straight up not need it for this fight. And we will be winning this game. Or not game, round. I don't know why I thought we attacked already. Taking a quick look at chat here. How does my arm not fall off playing these heroes? The movement is great. I have a very low sense. I'm on 3.5, 800 DPI. So it's something to get used to for sure, especially for heroes like Tracer and Genji. I've actually been thinking about raising my sense for Tracer specifically, but it's worked for me just because I've been playing for so long, and I used to play on an even lower sense. So it's just kind of like a muscle built up. Any special reason you keep pressing hello? I was wondering while watching the videos. You're kind of new to Overwatch, so not sure if that's a thing that people do. No real reason. It's just kind of like a tick. It's something. It's like a little action to sort of like spam and do. Kind of like if you ever play like Valorant or something, where people like to like flourish their gun. It's exactly like that for me. There's no tactical advantage whatsoever. Aside from maybe like marginally helping with my in timer and keeping me a little less like I need to do something now and then like inting. Thinking about our attack here, Pharah was working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So even with our Winston, I think that Pharah will still be fairly solid here. They are on Cassidy, which is going to make things a little bit harder. I'm going to wait until I get healed up by our Lucio Aura a bit. Our Cassidy is also going to be chilling main with me here, as we don't have that much space to work with. That's going to be fine for now, as I can just sort of spam out where their Kiriko is. Next time, I think that I'm going to be playing a little bit safer in this like really early fight, so that when my Winston goes to take aggression from the enemy team, I'll be able to get into a lot more of an aggressive position myself and actually force out some big CDs and resources. But for now, we can just be spamming down main, see whatever damage that we can do onto them for free. This is going to be very difficult for us to for them to punish us in that position. As the Kiriko's on this right side, I'm also going to be taking this right lane. Lean back a little bit here, just seeing if I have any sort of spots that I can play that will make it hard for their team to find angles onto me and shoot me out, as I'm fairly close to my shift again. I can be looking for a little more pressure onto their backline since I can go higher into the air, but my Winston goes down unfortunately, which will make it so we have to back up. Cassidy is pretty close. We're farming our barrage slowly but surely. I think that since we're losing the poke trade a little bit, I'm going to be going for a bit more of aggressive plays onto their team. Dragon comes out and trying to destabilize us, but as we all live, it's now going to be pretty soon to go for an aggressive play. So I'm going to be looking for it. The cat hits our Kiriko, unfortunately, which will make it kind of difficult for us here. But I'm going to see if I can take this space on the right area, which will put me in a position to actually like get onto their team decently well. As their cat steps towards me, they want to be trying to deny me from that mega, but I will be successful in evading them. Now, especially that I have my sort of like, I'm able to do damage with my concussion blast. No, there's Super 1. We can be going for a lot more aggressive plays because we do a lot more of a burst damage onto their team. So we can be playing a lot more of like an assassination style into their team comp. Especially since their team comp wants to be playing slower. They want time for their Sigma to shoot and their Cassidy and their Hanzo to just really pump in damage over time. While Pharah is good at that, another reason why Pharah is so dominant right now is you don't necessarily have to play them in the super slow spammy pokey style. Even though that's what they excel at, they also can just sort of go in and assassinate like Tracer or Genji or an Echo would. Winston stepping onto our Winston here, going to make it kind of difficult to play, so I'm just going to be backing up, and now our team is able to find an amazing kill onto their Cassidy. With their Kiriko TPing out, I'm going to be looking for a burst onto them, but they perfectly timed their Suzy to avoid it, and we'll be going down to their Hanzo. With our Primal Rage on the board very soon, our Soj is going to be dragged in by the cat and taken down, making it fairly hard for us, but Primal Rage popped, and we want to see if we can find any sort of value in this fight, but I think that's going to be quite hard to do so. Seeing if I can get their cat to chase me at all to potentially one-shot them with my combo. Since it was close range, I could maybe throw a melee in as well, but they will not be chasing, so we just want to be chilling. Now that we're on Ramattra, we can be playing a lot slower. Their Winston's going to be pressured to get into our space a good bit more than we're pressured to sort of walk into them. Cassidy might be on that right side, something to just sort of consider. But as they pop their Kitsune Rush and their Dragon, it's going to mean that we just need to really chill here. We're in a pretty rough spot, so I want to be making sure that I'm kiting out of there as soon as I can. Getting healed up by my Lucio. Cassie's on that high ground, might be worth it to just sort of jump onto them. Primal Rage pop by their Winston. Cat walks towards us, but is going to be going down to our rockets in the Kitsune Rush. And now if their Winston does anything, we can probably just one-shot them with our Barrage, especially now that they don't have Bubble. I think that's going to be fairly good. No jump for their Winston. I think that maybe is now the time. But I swing into their Hanzo, and I'm not actually looking at the right target, so we will be going down there. Thinking about this last fight that we need to win, I'm going to be going Reaper because it's going to be very close quarters and close range. Fario is going to struggle a little bit into their Cassidy and their Winston. Their cat all comes out, but I think that it does potentially miss. Our Sojourn has overclock very shortly, so I'm going to be protecting them a little bit and seeing if I can keep their cat from following up, which we are successful in doing so. Overclock gets used, Winston jumps onto the point. Cat is 1 HP and will be going down shortly after, and we will be winning this game. I think the Pharah definitely did quite a bit of good there, and we were able to find a lot of value on the Pharah, but I think that maybe I was playing a little bit too passively for a lot of it, when I could have just been kind of going in there and blowing people up more. And swapping to the Reaper at the end is just kind of like a safe way to guarantee that we'd find our value when we knew that we really needed to brawl. This is when we were deciding whether or not we should barrage, but we ended up not needing to, and it was a little bit scary to try to go for it because Cassie had that angle, but nonetheless, we will be winning that game. Awesome sauce. And that will be getting us up to Grandmaster. Woohoo! 2 rank ups today, getting our support up to Masters and our GM up to Grandmaster. I think that will be an awesome place to be. How many games of DPS have we played today? We've played 3 games of DPS. What time is it? 12 to 14? Okay. I think that we can play 1 more here. And then I will probably call it and then make sure that the videos get out today. And take a sip of water and then I'll look at chat. All right. Looking into our next game here. I'm going to be getting Nepal. I like Nepal a lot. There's a lot of heroes that can be played here. We've been leaning into... Today we've been leaning into some Genji, some Reaper, some Pharah. I'm wondering if we can try to get in a bit more of a quirky hero and maybe try to throw in like a Torbjorn. Because we haven't talked about Torbjorn yet today. And I think that they are going to be a fairly strong hero. Especially in ranked. Torb can find a lot of value and can be doing a lot of things. Going to be one of those sort of hyper generalist heroes. They can poke really well, they can brawl. They're going to be able to control and shut down lanes with their turret fairly well. But I think Torb is going to be a really good hero to sort of lean into and see if we can close out today's session. Also, thank you for the follow, QTR Nevermore. Cassidy is banned, which will enable Tracer a little bit, as well as our Doomfist. Our Doomfist is going to have a much easier time not playing into a Cassidy, but now us being on the Torbjorn is going to make it, I think, really good to sort of like brawl on the point. If we have the Symmetra as well, I think that that will enable us to just sort of like completely lock down a point, even if they have a bit more of a brawlier tank than our Doomfist. Our close quarters combat with our Symmetra and our Torbjorn is just going to be super, super, super strong. Alright, looking at TP out. They might just TP and swap, potentially. Yes, they're going to TP and swap to Tracer. Very helpful. It's a good habit to get into if you're ever playing a higher mobility DPS, where TPing your team out and getting them into good positions early is going to be really helpful. We see the Reaper stepping onto our back line, so I just want to be poking them out the best that I can and then throwing my turret on main, looking to maybe step on this right side, helping our Tracer potentially get followed by the Lucio. I want to make sure I'm not in a position where I can be booped, but now we're going to be in a spot that can be pumping in some damage to the Reinhardt. Sierra shot comes out onto us, and we're going to be booped into the Reinhardt's range, but we're trading out the Sierra and their Reinhardt very shortly after, as that was a bit of an overextension from them. So we will be winning, or putting ourselves in a really good spot to win this point. The Reaper is still alive and might be able to clutch up, but as we find the kill onto the Reaper and the Kiriko, I think that we will be winning. So now thinking about this next fight and last one, I could be putting myself into a position where I could pump a bunch of damage into their Reinhardt shield, but I think that the more beneficial thing that I can do is just make sure that the Reaper can't really play the game that much, and putting my turret into fairly strong spots. So I'm going to be putting it up on that pillar, so if the Reinhardt walks past it, they're going to be getting chunked from behind. But the Reaper is going to take some time not flanking to just sort of shoot out our turret best they can. Our turret does go down shortly after, but we hit a nice Cheeto onto their Kiriko and force the TP and the Suzu shortly after. Our Juno is going to get hit by the Sierra, and the Reinhardt steps onto us. But with our E still available, we will be moving in a close range fight against the Reinhardt and completely shredding them. Torbjorn is just going to be one of the best tank melters like in the game. I think that people might not value Torbjorn's overload a lot, but it's going to be an insane power spike that will just let you basically like run down and like 1v1 most of the casts in the game. So our Doomfist going in main. I'm just gonna be spamming out the Reinhardt shield as we do a good bit of poke damage since we don't have any fall off on our weapon. If there's going to be a huge target like a Reinhardt shield that we can just sort of like spam into and shoot, it's going to be really, really good for us. As the fight's happening on this right side, I'm going to see if I can get into it in any way that I can. Our turret's going to be in a fairly good spot, but their Reaper is going to fall very low HP. I think that I might do this actually. Kiriko falling 1 and Reinhardt's behind. Oh my gosh. Why I picked the hammer perk is because I think that I'm not a big fan of ultimate perks in general, and I think that having higher mobility, especially into a comp like this where we want to be getting into better positions fairly often, is going to be really, really beneficial to us, because now I'm able to take this space on left side much quicker than I would have previously, and now I'm able to get active on our Juno Ray and potentially find a kill onto this Reaper or poke out this Reinhardt from a different angle. And if they walk us down here, then it's still going to be fairly safe for us as we have our speed boost to try to disengage if we need to. So I think the mobility alone was going to enable us to sort of just lane and control space that's not on top of our team as much. But the Reaper is going to be taking us down. I did not hear them sort of walk up onto me. But as the Reinhardt's 1 HP, the most of their team is 1 HP. They find a nice pin onto our Doomfist, but unfortunately, we are not going to be able to recover from it. We have our Molten Core still, and I think that it would have been very fine to pop it on that left lane as Lucio and Reaper walked towards us. But I think that me being a little bit too greedy with it, wanting to use it on point, is going to be the downfall of us there. So I think I hear the Reaper top left. And we will be going down to it. I figured that I'd be able to win that 1v1, but I just missed too many shots. I'm not even able to get any Molten Core value. But we are able to find the kill onto Lucio. I want to be trying to get back into the fight as fast as I can and potentially just throwing my ult on the point to get any sort of value that I can. The Sierra is going to be taking down our turret, but as we have our overload, I can be looking for another early play onto it. Our Kiriko heals us up a decent bit. Shatter comes out onto our Doomfist. Reaper gets 1 HP, but we are able to find the kill onto the Sierra. Reinhardt's super duper duper 1, so I'm just walking past their shield, trying to get onto them. Our overload is ready again. I think I'm going to be getting the level 3 turret just because it will make it so that they are going to have a much harder time dealing with our turret, and we will be winning this point. I think that I messed up quite a bit there. I wasn't playing the best possible. If I was a little bit safer on that left lane, or if I was just chilling main, I think that we definitely would have been in a much, much, much better spot. But I think that we were still able to find the value that we really needed to find, especially once we got back in. We got our Molten Core on the point. We found the kill onto their Sierra in that brawl. I think that we'll be taking this point back. I think Torbjorn is just really strong. I'm a little bit worried about this point. I was hoping that we would get the Sanctuary next, which would really enable our level 3 turret. But unfortunately, with this more open space, they're going to have a few more options to actually deal with our turret whenever we use it. So now they are on Roadhog. I'm going to be just trying to spam out their backline to enable my shooters to shoot as much as they want. Sierra goes 1 HP, and we are able to find that kill. Roadhog finding the hook onto us, but we're saved by our Doomfist with the punch. Very wonderful. Putting my turret down and popping my whole hog. Or not whole hog, my overload. Which will enable us to pump in a lot more damage, as well as our turret to take a lot more hits. Basically taking it out as a target that the enemy team can play to shoot, since they will be having a lot more HP. What happened to me? What did I get booped by? Oh, it's just a Lucio with the boot perk. Okay. But thinking about this next point here, our team is rotating towards this right side. I'm going to be seeing if I can kill this Reaper. Why make sure, after I'm missing a lot of my M1s, I just switch to my M2s, even though it's a little bit less DPS at that range. Just having some sort of consistent damage and putting a timer on the Reaper in general is going to be more value than going for the gamble and then risking a lot of potential value. So now our tank is going to be swapping to Orisa to try and deal with the Roadhog a little bit easier. The Reaper's getting a lot of value onto our team, so I think that maybe I can be pushing my turret into spots that's going to care our team a little bit better. I think I hear Roadhog bottom right, which is something that I want to consider. Popping my Overload as I'm scared of their Death Blossom. Our turret's going to be just pumping in some damage. I'm going to be rotating away from their Reaper as I want to stabilize to make sure that I'm out of their effective range, make sure that their shotguns do a little bit less damage. So I'm cutting towards their spawn room, since I know it's safer. Keeping my Overload as I walk forward towards the Reaper, since I know that it's going to be very, very dangerous for me to walk into their space and into their effective range without the extra HP that I would get from my Overload, since they have their Death Blossom. So now that the Roadhog is walking back, they're trying to break my turret. And we have 4 ultimates on the board ready to try and keep this point. Forcing Suzu early is going to be really, really nice for us. I'm just going to be pumping in some damage to their team. As the Reaper gets onto me, I will be going down. I'm always surprised by like how far away a Reaper can be and how much damage it actually does. I always feel like I get out of the effective range and then I just still take so much damage. That's going to be my bad on the judgment. I could have backed up a lot sooner, or I could have been trying to live a bit easier, but that 1v1's going to be very hard for us to take, so I'm going to be trying to avoid it a little bit more and playing a lot more for our poke value. Our Roadhog hook comes out, and their Sierra is going to be chilling main. Sierra ultimate use onto our Orisa. Orisa's popping their ultimate. Seeing if they can live. I'm going to be throwing down my turret and then trying to blow up the people remaining on the point. We are able to find the kill onto the Reaper, and as well as the Kiriko, just by spamming now. Since we have the point contested and we don't necessarily need to be doing all that much, we can just be throwing our Cheetos kind of at their main area, seeing if we can find any kills through the big clump of players gathered at that back stable side, and we will be winning this game. Awesome. Ending 20-7. I think that we definitely could have played a lot better, especially in that first round, but I think that the second one we adjusted quite well, playing a little bit more for our distance against the Reaper, not trying to take the 1v1 as much, but still a little bit too much for my personal liking. But in any way, we will be winning that game and getting ourselves a bit more solidified into GM5. Ending GM5, 43%, getting our winning trend back on our DPS, going completely undefeated today in both our support and our DPS games, which will be awesome. So, I think with all that said, for my video audience, from the people watching the video or the recording of this, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And then bang. Editing Eevee will cut there, and it'll be freaking awesome. I'm probably not going to play that much more on stream. I'm going to be doing a little bit of editing to get the video out before my team's VOD review, as well as I'll just be taking a general, like, little bit of an Overwatch break, but I'll stay in chat for a bit. I'll see if I can catch up and read through any, like, chat messages that I missed. Find Torb so funny to watch for some reason. He seems so overly determined that it makes you laugh every time. Torb is just really silly. Why are we on Torb here? I just picked Torbjorn just because I want to see if I can cover every hero in the series, and the only heroes that I had left to cover or play at all was Torbjorn, Junkrat, and Sombra. But now with Torbjorn out of the way, I think that we just need to find some sort of area or instance to squeeze in some Junkrat and some Sombra. I'll do a little bit of like dusting off on my Sombra. I'll do a little bit of dusting off on my Sombra and my Vendetta to see if I can actually perform on them well later. Hi Matcha. Never get out GM5. You can get out GM5, Nev. Here another game. You've just been queuing Winston this season. Not you can get out GM5. You can get out GM5. Why don't you try to get Champ 1? Champ 1 is right there. You're really gonna end in second? You're gonna end with a 2 instead of a 1? Oh, 1 hour queues? Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. You do the LH Cloudy thing where they just queue on 2 accounts and then like cancel the queue on whichever gets the game slower. I'm really happy that we're able to play a good bit of support. I just want to play more support. I just love playing support. Thank you for the follow, Cornsfolio and Avi5, Haku TV. Thank you all for the follows. GG's Cornsfolio. Oh wait, no, that's not GG's. That's Aga. I took off my glasses. Hold on, let me put them back. What time is it? 2:30. I have a VOD review at 4, so that'll at least me an hour and a half. Okay. Yeah, I need to end soon. I think that was a very good session, though. And I'm happy. For anyone still around in like the YouTube chat, was the stream quality okay for YouTube? Was it getting through? Like audio good, visuals good. I took a quick look at the beginning of the stream, but I was hoping that it would like remain that way and not kind of like blow up later. I'm also going to be looking into some plugins to see if I can combine chats later, or if that's even allowed, because I want everyone to sort of like see what I'm responding to. If I can. Oh, we got one more loot box. Wait, 2 epics? That's kind of tough. I like that. It just keeps giving me Moira stuff. Should I try to get some Moira gameplay in the next support episode? I can try. I'll dust up on my Moira a bit too. Okay, I think it's time for me to get editing. It's pretty good? Okay, awesome. Alright, so I think I'm going to end stream here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope that it was helpful and entertaining. But I'll be putting up the recording of this video onto YouTube a little bit later today. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh wait, does it not cancel both at once? So I'm still streaming YouTube? Okay, that's a learning. I learned.